reign when the Messiah comes to earth and dwells on earth for 1,000 years when the kingdom is set up. So it's looking forward to those spiritual things as well. But definitely, we just want to get everything started. Yoshaya, if you want to come up, we're going to blow the shofar, kick off everything. We know the blowing of the shofar represents the children of Israel gathered together, wherever we may be scattered to the four corners of the earth. Stand for prayer. Face Jerusalem. Yep. Right. Come here.
All right, all minds clear, all hearts clear. Repeat after me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Let your will be done. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us for our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Almighty Yahweh, we give you thanks, honor, and praise on this wonderful set-apart Shabbat day, the day that you have sanctified, the day that you are giving the children of Yahshua, or Israel, to be a day that we may know that you are the Almighty, the power that did bring us out of the land of Egypt with a strong hand. Father, we just want to give thanks, praise, and extend your name upon high hills and high places. We want to be made low so that you can get all the esteem and glory. We ask that you not only forgive us for the sins that we committed in times past, but also for the sins that we omitted. We ask that you just continue to watch over, stretch forth your hand. Any sickness that we may be dealing with, any diseases, any discomfort, any discouragement, Father Yah, we just want you to place your might, your strength on our minds and let it trickle down from our head, from the crown of our head to the sole of our foot. Father Yah, we just give you thanks for sending your son, Yahweh Shah, the only begotten, who was sent and died for the remission of our sins. We give you these things and these thanks and all praises. And then Yahweh Shah name we say, hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, fam, if y'all turn to Exodus chapter 20 for the reading of the Ten Commandments, we're going to read verses 1 through 17. These commandments, the only document that was actually written by the Most High's own finger and delivered them to our people. So Exodus the 20th chapter, I'll read verses 1 through 17. Exodus 20, beginning at verse 1. And Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh thy Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh thy Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. It's the reading of the Ten Commandments this week. Hallelujah. All right, we can go right to the Torah portion. All right, it's on the board. Numbers, chapter 26. Numbers chapter 26. We're going to read the whole chapter. We're going to break it down. All right.
Split it in half today. Yeah. All right.
Numbers 26. All right, now the last one.
Split it in half. Part per day.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
10.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we just updated on the board. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. All right, so y'all, we gonna just read half of the chapter today, 65 verses, but we just want everybody to continue to grasp what we read out of the Word every single Shabbat. We don't want to just read it and then move on without the understanding of what we read. So we gonna read probably down about. Let me see where the context ends at. Probably about the 34. Yeah, probably about the 34. All right. Well, I'll start off with the first, I'll just do 14. I'll do 20. 10. All right.
Everybody there, hallelujah? And it came to pass after the plague that Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Eleazar, the son of Aharon the priest, take the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, from 20 years old and upward, throughout their father's house, and all that are able to go to war in Israel. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest spake with them in the plains of Moab by Jordan, near Jericho, saying, take the sum of the people, from 20 years old and upward, as Yahweh commanded Moses and the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt. Verse 5, Reuben, the eldest son of Israel, the children of Reuben, Hanak, of whom cometh the family of the Hanakites, of Palu, the family of the Peluites, of Hezron, the family of the Hezronites, of Carmi, the family of the Carmites. These are the families of the Reubenites, and they that were numbered of them were 43,730. And the sons of Palu, Eliad, the son of Eliad, Nemuel, and Dathan, and Abiram. This is that Dathan and Abiram, which were famous in the congregation, who strove against Moshe and against Aharon in the company of Korah, when they strove against Yahweh. Verse 10, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up together with Korah, when that company died. What time The fire devoured 250 men, and they became a sign. Notwithstanding, the children of Korah died not. Verse 12. The sons of Simeon, after their families, of Nemuel, the family of the Nemuelites, and Jamin, the family of the Jaminites, of Jokshan, the family of the Jokshanites, of Zerah, the family of the Zerahites, or the Zerahites, of Shaul, the family of the Shaluites, or the Shuliites. These are the families of the Simeonites, 22,200.
Verse 15. And the children of Gad, after their families, of Zephon, the family of the Zephonites, of Haggai, the family of the Haggites, of Shuni, the family of the Shunites, of Ozni, the family of the Oznites, of Eri, the family of the Erites, of Arad, the family of the Aradites, of Arilah, the family of the Arelites. These are the families of the children of Gad, according to those that were numbered of them, 40,500. Verse 19. The sons of Judah were Onan, and and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Judah after their families were of Shelah, the families of the Shelonites, of Pharez, the family of the Pharezites, of Zerah, the family of the Zerahites. And the sons of Pharez were of Hezron, the family of the Hezronites, of Hamul, the family of the Hamulites. These are the families of Judah according to those that were numbered of them, 16,500. Of the sons of Issachar, after their families, of Tola, the family of the Tolaites, of Hua, the family of the Hunites, of Yashub, the family of the Yashubites, of Shimron, the family of the Shimronites.
All right, verse 25. These are the families of the Issachar, according to those that were numbered of them, 4,300. Of the sons of Zebulun, after their families, of Sirad, the family of the Saradites, of Elon, the family of the Elonites, of Zalel, the family of the Zelites. These are the families of the Zebulunites, according to those that were numbered of them, 3,500. The sons of Joseph, after their families, were Manasseh and Ephraim. And the sons of Manasseh, of Machir, the family of the Michirites. Of Machir begat Gilad. Of Gilad come the family of the Gileadites. These are the sons of Gilad. Of Jezer, the family of the Jezerites. Of Helik, the family of the Hilikites. Verse 31. Of Azarel, the family of the Azraelites. And of Shechem, the family of the Shechemites. And of Shemida, the family of the Shemidites. And of Hepar, the family of the Heparites. And Zephonhad, the son of Hepar, had no sons, but daughters. And the names of the daughters were Zelophehad, were Malay and Noah, Hogal, Milcah, and Tisra. These are the families of Manasseh, and those that were numbered of them, So that's the law portion for this week, and we'll pick up with the end of the chapter next week. So when we say, just for those to clarify, for those that may not know, for those that may just be tuning in on our live as well that may not know. So what is sin according to the scripture? Sin is what? A transgression of the law. All right. So now we got to know what the law is. In order to stay out of sin, we got to know what the law is. So every week we read the law. All right. In Hebrew, it's Torah. All right. And what is the law? The law consists of the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Within those 5 books contains all of our laws. We read every chapter, read it in context, because some laws came for a certain reason in context. You want to read it in chapter, you get the context. So if sin is the transgression of the law, then you have to know what the law is in order to stay out of sin. It's been so many people that come to us and tell us this is a sin or that is a sin. And me and Aaron be like, well, show us in the law. We're willing to accept it. We can see it in the law. And what do? They either bring up tradition, which is not written in the law, or they go to 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. These are not law books. Sin is the transgression of the law. You must know what the law is and where to find the law is in order to keep these laws to stay out of sin. All right? When we read in Romans, it's not a law book. If you read Jeremiah, it's not a law book. All right? We got the prophets. We have laws. We have writings. We have epistles. We have all these other things. All right? So you don't go to any book outside of the law to establish the law. That makes sense? So in order to know the law, we got to read the law. We got to go there, all right? So it's very clear when we look at it in Hebrew. Sin is the transgression of the law. The law, the word that they translated law was what? Torah. What is the Torah? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. All right? So, not that we don't go by the other books. We put everything in their place. Those books are not law books. All right? So, what we got next? Current events. What's going on? Anybody have anything going on they want to bring out as far as current events? How it affect the children of Israel? How it affects prophecy? Anything going on in these days that y'all witness locally, nationally, or internationally? You got some, sis? Go ahead.
Yeah, the mass shooting yesterday, they're accusing guy of Israelite descent of doing it.
Okay.
Illinois yesterday. But we don't know if it's true or not. So.
Right.
There's been a lot of crimes happening in blackface.
Right.
And,
That's true. Yeah.
Especially, they just had one in Cincinnati with the mass bank robber.
Right.
What's going on?
And that's not our MO to do mass shootings.
Right.
That's not of us.
Right. Chicago.
Say that again. Oh, I thought you said something.
No, she said a silicone mask.
Yes,
Yeah, they're getting them realistic masks made.
yeah, they making them made.
Oh, yeah.
Doing crimes.
I thought
Oh,
you
and
said
then like putting a black face.
that's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing in Chicago a lot.
Right.
What's in
Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely not our MO. Israel, we shoot people that did stuff to us. We don't just shoot random people in the crowd. That's not our MO. You know what I mean? That's a European thing. It's like I'm mad one day, I'm gonna just shoot anybody I see outside. No. We shoot people because they robbed us or they did something to us. We don't just shoot random people. And not that it may not happen from time to time, but it's just not our makeup. You know what I mean? Just go shooting random people. Anything else?
Something going on.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Mentally crazy, yeah.
I know. I heard about the. Of course, y'all know about 45. I say 45. I'm talking about Trump. So I know he talking about state of emergency. So.
He already signed it in, I thought.
Yeah, he did it.
He signed it in.
Explain. I didn't know. Because I don't watch TV, so I don't know.
If he declares a state of emergency, I think it's about the wall, right? If he declares a state of emergency, then he have to get that wall that he wanted. But he told him he was gonna do that. And I think when they shut the government down for 3 weeks, they were supposed to like talk about it. And he said if they don't agree within them 3 weeks, he just don't declare a state of emergency and use his presidential powers to make them build the wall. So it's all about that wall.
Yeah, he went up to 8.
Why don't he use his own money? He got billions.
He ain't got 8 billion.
You know, we got close. Get Bill Gates to do it. He got 85 billion.
Yeah, right.
He have 85 billion dollars.
He ain't got anybody give up his money though.
Right.
He gonna reimburse it back to him.
Listen, you can't spend $85 billion in one lifetime. Well, you got $85 billion. You get up $8 billion. What's gonna change? Like, what's gonna change? Is your light bill not gonna get paid? Well, you gotta turn in your. He probably don't even drive Lamborghinis. That's probably low class for him. Whatever. Turn in your whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Bentley, stretch Bentley.
He probably just do a private jet everywhere.
Spaceship.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Instead of anteing up from a whole bunch of poor people, get it from him. Him and Bill Gates and what's the other guy? The main two is Bill Gates and
Amazon CEO.
yeah, what's his name?
I can't remember his name, but he
It's another one. When I hear his name, he might even have more than Bill Gates.
They said do the
more than the one from Google. For real? I know the dude from Google doing some stuff, but
I mean, no matter either way, ain't that money.
We could just get 8 of them dudes. Everybody give you $1 billion. Problem solved. If they love their country.
Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, I wasn't talking about him. It's an older guy. He an older
I'm
man.
talking about Warren.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Warren Buffett.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's still living.
Yeah, he's still, I think Warren Buffett might even have more than Bill Gates. He might have $90 billion.
Coca-Cola. I'm talking about Coca-Cola.
But you know what? It gotta be something more than this.
Walmart.
Like this, the state of emergency. Like I wouldn't take it on face value. What more would
One
we slide
husband,
through during the
married
state
his
of
daughter,
emergency?
is now the Los Angeles Rams owner.
For real.
Earlier.
Somebody said Kissinger?
He's doing.
Yeah, I was talking about Warren Buffett, who I was thinking of. So, all right, y'all. So, man, yeah, like I said, I really haven't been keeping up with that stuff too much either. But we gotta we'll do the music portion later. I don't know. I know where y'all. So we're gonna do the music portion later, but her own gonna present some scriptures. But I just want to talk about something real quick before we do. So let's do this. I'll just have a quick talk first, then he gonna present the lesson he got. But we gonna turn your attention to the screen up here, and of course, just to quickly explain for our listening audience, our family here, we always have guests. Sometimes from time to time, visitors, different things like that. So I always try to, if they want to, sometimes just see if there's any questions they have or anything like that. We go into that, delve into that. And his brother was talking a little earlier, so I'm trying to deal with a couple of things that we kind of talked about, stuff like that. Why we say some of the things we say, why we do some of the things we do, different things like that. Ike, you have any questions you want to bring out? Again, I know we talked in the car. We'll clarify a little bit of the name, you know what I mean? Why we say Yahweh or Yah, different things like that. Why we say Yahweh Shah. Why?
I just want the real doctrine. I mean, I kind of know a little bit of it.
Okay, yep, well, this is what we gonna do. So we got, we gonna look at the screen real quick. I might write some Hebrew on the board, stuff like that. All right, let me think. I wanna go to, we'll go to, let me think where I want to go. Let's go to Genesis 4 and verse 26. Let's go there. Genesis 4 and 26.
Can y'all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Which way back? Y'all tell me.
It's fine.
It's cool right there? All right.
Yes. All right, so I'm gonna use modern Hebrew mostly today since that's what's gonna be on there. So y'all can see that on the board just fine too, right? All right, so I'm gonna title this talk, just a quick talk, maybe 15 minutes or so. All right, I'm gonna title this, y'all can see that okay, what I wrote?
Nope.
All right, no, probably because it's in green. I'll use this dark color. All right, so Genesis 4:26 says, if you can read that out.
Genesis 4:26. And Seth said to him also, there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh.
So it said he called his name Enos, and it said, then began men. This is in the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 26. In this book of Genesis, then began men to call upon the name, it says in English, right, of the Lord. Right? So everybody know what are these numbers behind it. These numbers are telling us what Hebrew word was used there in the Hebrew scriptures, because these scriptures were originally written in Hebrew and then translated into English. So when we see the word Lord right there, L-O-R-D in all caps, this is the Hebrew word that it comes from every time in the scriptures. Every time you see Lord and you're reading in English and you see a capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, it comes from the Hebrew word 3068, which go back to the top. You see that Hebrew word? You see them 4 Hebrew characters at the top? We say original. That's exactly what I wrote right there. 4 Hebrew characters, right? Anybody that can read Hebrew, them 4 Hebrew letters says Yahweh. So according to Genesis 4:26, it's telling us what they call the Most High. They call him by those 4 Hebrew letters, right? And so, of course, we know that in ancient Hebrew it looked like this. In the days of Moses, when it was originally written, it looked like this, not like them letters, all right? But, so now, let's go back. If you could put in 3068. So if you see 3068 is the Most High's name, so we want to know how many times would that name used throughout the scriptures, right? In Hebrew. So, you know, I can just type in the number. 68. So we're going to put in 3068, and it's going to give us a whole bunch of verses.
Yeah, it's pretty much giving us
Cool.
everything from, let me go to,
Yeah, go to where you put in word, put in just numbers. 3068. All right, so while he throwing that up there,
What's
go ahead.
the strong?
yeah.
You just got an app on the phone, yeah.
There we go.
That's it. All right, cool. So let's go to the top. It would say, it don't say how many times.
Nah, but these like the columns, so
Okay.
it's pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
it ranges.
All right, well, another one to tell you how many times. So he just put up 3068. And it's going to show you every single time in the scripture. It's in Genesis 2 and 4, Genesis 2 and 5. Every time it's talking about the Most High's name. All through the scriptures, all right? And when you count, some apps will tell you how many times it's actually written in the scripture. From Genesis to Malachi, the whole Old Testament, those 4 letters was written 6,823 times referring to the Most High's name. All right? And I'm going to give you a few times that is actually written referring to the Most High's name. That makes sense? 6,823 times. So you can just keep on going and going, and it's written all these different times. But let's go to Genesis 34, I think. Let me see. I think it's Exodus 34. Let's go to Exodus 34. I think that's it. Hold on. Actually, Exodus chapter 33 and verse 19. That's where we're going to go. Exodus chapter 33 and verse 19. And we got that script on the board. Give everybody a second to get there. Exodus 33 and 19. And like I say, we could do this all day long over 6,000 times. Exodus chapter 33. Verse 19. Let's read that.
And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of Yahweh before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, or gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy.
So he see the word Lord, and he said Yahweh. Why did he say that? Did he just make that up? No. Look at it in Hebrew again. We see Lord, right? 3068, we click it again, it's 4 letters. Yod, He, Wah, He in Hebrew. Anybody that can read Hebrew, that says Yahweh all day long. People that give all these different names, they don't read Hebrew, right? It's a lot of different names people say, but they don't read Hebrew. All right, so it's just clear right there, but I'm going to deal with one more thing concerning this. All right, Exodus 3. We're going to read verse 14, 15, and 16, right? Because, of course, we could do that all day long. I don't want to bore everybody out. We could go all through the script 6,000 times, over 6,000 times, and show Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh all day long, right? But let's go to Exodus. Because we have a lot of our people has been told what? The Most High's name is not Yahweh, the Most High's name is Ahiah, and this is what they're going to prove it. Well, let's read it. And let's read it in context, and let's get what's really being said here. All right. Exodus 3. We're going to start at verse 13 now.
The book of Exodus, or Shemot, chapter 3 and verse 13. And when Moses said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The Elohim of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them?
This is the key verse to understanding what's about to happen in the 14th verse, the 15th verse, and the 16th verse. All right? If you don't understand what just happened in the 13th verse, you're not going to understand the next couple verses. So what happened in the 13th verse? Moses asked the Most High how many questions? 2 questions. All right? Now the Almighty is about to proceed to answer both of those 2 questions that Moses asked him. All right? So what were the 2 questions in the 13th verse? Number 1, the first question was what? Right. The second question was, what shall I say unto them? What is his name, and what shall I say unto them? Now let's read the 14th verse.
Verse 14. And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am.
And he said unto him, what? I am that I am. All right, keep going. He just answered one of the questions, but we got to know which question did he just answer. I am that I am in Hebrew is Hayah, Asher, Hayah, or Ahiah, Asher, Ahiah. That's what I am that I am, what the original Hebrew says, right? But what question did he just answer? All right, keep going.
And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel.
Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel. Let's go back to the 13th verse. What did he ask again? He said, what is your name? Then he said, what shall I say unto them? Then the Most High said, Hayah Asher Hayah. Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel. So the Almighty just answered the second question. He answered his second question first on what to say to them. Well, what does Hayah Asher Hayah mean in Hebrew? Because this wasn't the first time that was written. For anybody that could read Hebrew, I could take you before this, where they was saying the word Hayah all before that. But they translated in English as mean to be, or to exist, and things like that, right? So he just answered the second question first, which is, what shall I say unto him? So say unto them, Hayah Asher Hayah. What does that mean? In ancient Hebrew, it means to exist, to be, to exist. All right, let's keep reading now.
I am has sent me unto you. Verse 15. And Elohim said, moreover, unto Moshe, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers.
So if you stop for a minute, why did he say Yahweh again in verse 15? Because it's written there in Hebrew, those 4 letters. Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Jacob have sent me unto you, right? And then he says, this is my name and my memorial unto all generations. In verse 15, he answered the question of what his name was. In verse 14, he answered the question of what shall I say unto them? Say unto them, Hayah Asher Hayah, which is to exist, to be, to exist. What the Almighty was saying is, when Moses says, what shall I tell them? The Almighty is telling them, tell them the God that always existed sent me unto you. because that's all it means. To exist, to be, to exist. In verse 15, when he says his name in verse 15. Read verse 15 one more time. Mark.
And Elohim said, moreover unto Moshe, this shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob, has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations.
In the verse where he said, what is his name forever, it doesn't say Ahia in that verse. It says Yahweh in that verse. Let's punch it up right there. Verse 15. Where we at? All right, verse 15. You see the word, and Elohim said, right? Moreover, when you drop down and you see, yep, you see Israel. You see, thus shalt thou say unto Israel. Then it says you just punch that up, 3068, right there. He said, Yahweh Elohim of your father has sent me unto you. All right, so it's right there. In the 15th verse, the word Ahia is not there, which in Hebrew, Ahia is not a name anyway. All right, so last thing I'm going to show, then we're going to move on. We're going to present this last thing I'm going to show is, let's go to the same verse and look up one more word. Let's go right back to verse number 14. So what is the word for Ahia? It should be 1961, I think.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we see 1961. What does it mean? It means
To
Higher, to be, become, come to pass, exist, happen, fall out.
all right. So now let's go back and let's see where that verse was used before. It was used in that same chapter before, many other places. That word. Just drop down to towards the. No, I mean drop up actually.
up
Toward,
to
up to
like around verse 6.
I think verse 6 would be good. Hold on, let me see the context. 1961 is in verse 6. Actually, just put it in 1961 for you. I think it's a chapter. Yeah, time past. Yeah.
It's like Genesis too.
Okay. It's in Exodus too.
Genesis, yeah. But I one, two.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. All right, so we're in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2.
The book of Genesis, I bear the sheet, chapter 1 and verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
All right, so we see that. So why did I read this? In verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. All right, so if you're looking at them words, you see again what? Which word did it translate 1961? Go back.
Was.
Yep. So we see he read the definition of the word higher. It means exist, it means to be, it means was, it means all these different things. In this verse, the word higher was translated as was, because it just means to be. It says, and the earth was without form, meaning the earth was be without form. And what's the word for be? Higher. That's not the Most High's name, right? That word was used in Hebrew all throughout the book. Only in Exodus 3 do they say it's the Most High's name. You see how it's used right there, Genesis 1 and 2. The earth was without form. How do you say was without form in Hebrew? Higher, right? So that's just a quick little something that I just wanted to kind of present. But we can go all day long with this information. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, verse Exodus chapter 3, verse 6. So he basically telling us that again.
Exodus 3 and 6.
Exodus 3 and 6. Hold on,
I know the book you have has the Hebrew letters in it. If you see the Hebrew letters in it, then yes. Well, let me go there.
Oh, well, no, I didn't know. Hebrew letters.
All right, hold on. Let me get there real quick. Exodus 3 and 6.
Say, I am again.
Okay. You there?
Let me get it.
Yeah.
I'll read it for y'all. It's Exodus 3, verse 6. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of thy father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim.
Okay, in verse 6, no, he's not telling what his name is. He's telling, when we see the word God in Hebrew, just the same way we look up all of these, he already have it up there. God is Hebrew word number 430. 430 is the word Elohim. And that's what we say every time we see God, we say Elohim. Elohim is just a Hebrew word for God. You can mean any God. You could be talking about a false God. It's still called Elohim. You could be talking about the God of the Canaanites. Just like in English we say God, a Muslim God, it's a God of the Hindu religion, it's a God of Islam, it's a God of Christianity, it's a God of the Hebrews. The word God is just a general term. It's the same way a general term is used in the Hebrew language as well. The word Elohim is just a general term. Even in the scripture, Psalms 82 and verse 6, what does that say? It's talking about us, the children of Israel, men and women. It say, ye are gods. It say, ye are Elohim, because Elohim just means mighty ones. All right, that's not the Most High's name. So yeah, not that one. Only when you see in English, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, it comes from the Hebrew word Yahweh, which looks like this in ancient Hebrew. It looks like that in modern Hebrew, and that's the Most High's name. All day.
So where they get Yahuwah from?
They get Yahuwah from this. People that say Yahuwah, this is a Y sound, this is a H sound, this is a W sound, this is a H sound. So people that say Yahuwah, they're actually getting it from that. The only difference is some of them believe that this letter makes a W sound instead of, they believe that this letter makes a U sound instead of a W sound. But it actually makes a W sound, not a U sound. But since some people believe it makes a U sound, they say Yahuwah. But they're getting it from those 4 letters, which those 4 letters is written 6,800 times throughout the scriptures. It's like undeniable. So, all right, Doc. So, I just wanted to put that out real quick, just to kind of clarify why we say Yahweh, different things like that. Is right there in the book. Just because anybody that could use a concordance, look it up. It's right there. All right. And when you look up the definition in a concordance, it's just talking about the God of the Hebrews, pretty much. There is no negative connotation to that word. All right, go ahead, sis.
Somebody have a question. I said, what does Yahoo mean?
Yahoo. Yahoo. We had a king named Yahoo. In English, it says Jehu, King Jehu. He was one of the kings that was conquered during the Assyrian captivity. And the word Yahoo just means it means what do it mean? It comes from my
Yahoo.
It's like a praise thing. It means like he is. Yeah, it means that. Like Yah is or he is. Something like that. That's all it means, right? So if you notice, many of our people had that name in their name. Many, Yahshua, Yahweh, in Jeremiah's real name, Yeshayahu. It was always Yah in it, things like that. So, all right. So, yeah. So, some of you got to
Yup. So hallelujah, man. That's a blessing because exactly what you just brought out is like a kickstart of what I'm gonna be doing today. All right. So we got a lot of people who've we've been in this walk for quite some time. We got some people that's new, some that's old in the walk, and you got a lot of people that just learn many different ways, right? Whether it's on the internet, whether it's, a place of fellowship you come to. So what we want to do today is we want to substantiate truth, right? We don't want to rehearse what we learn in Christianity by the pastor giving us one scripture and telling us that's what it is, and we keeping it moving until next Sunday. We want to be able to substantiate truth. Remember, this is a personal walk that you have with the Most High. It's only when we come together we make it a broader walk, as far as a whole. But this is a personal walk. Will you allow the leaders, the quote unquote teachers, to keep lying to you by giving you scriptures and making it sound good? Or will you go and do reading for yourself, for your own salvation, to see whether these things were so? Remember, when Paul and Barnabas was out teaching, what did it say about the people in Thessalonica? It said they searched the scriptures daily, right? So it don't matter what Rayvon say, it don't matter what Haron say, Yash, or anybody in here say. We're going to search the scriptures whether these things were so. So exactly what he did is exactly what I'm going to be doing throughout the scriptures, and we're going to see if these things are true, or do we need to read up a little bit or down, or do we need to do what the prophet Isaiah said? Line upon line, precept upon precept, right? We put precepts above he-septs. What is a he-sept? He's laughing. What is a he-sept? Somebody said. Somebody tell you, if you asking for directions, how you get to downtown? We in Avondale. You gonna let them be like, just go 75 south? Or is you gonna ask more questions or try to figure it out yourself? Like it can't just be 75 south. It got to be some, you know what I mean? It got to be an alternate route. I got to get the full details. So that's what we want to do today, just navigate the scriptures. But the title of the message, and for the people that's watching, if you're a quote-unquote leader of a congregation, man up, because open rebuke is better than secret love. Title of the message today is Bad Doctrine Alert. All of us have been guilty of putting out bad doctrine, but it's only going to be exposed if we go to the scriptures. So if he says something, right, and his intentions is good, we can't take his word for it. We got to go to the scriptures and see. All right, so let's get into it. This kind of going to be an interactive study. So if you got something on your mind, scriptures that been given to you in the times past, right, scriptures being brought forth, and you just can't really figure it out, bring it out today. Let's try to deal with it as a whole. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All right, give y'all a brief example of what we're going to be doing, though, furthermore. Let's go to the book of Nahum. Let's go to the book of Nahum. Y'all like, Nahum? Who is that? Never heard of that. You know, when we watch YouTube, right, we hear a whole lot of scriptures that we haven't heard before. And that's what makes it more convincing that whoever's behind the camera is telling the truth, right? Because the way they use it, they come and emphasize on it and different things of that nature, and it sound good because of the times we're in. They're trying to mix and match scriptures according to the times we're in. So let me see if y'all can peep something real quick. What I say, Nahum? I can't even find Nahum. And I'm the one that's bringing it out. All right, Nahum. And what we want out of there is, we want chapter 3. We're going to read verses 1 through 3. That's how we. I'm going to ask y'all a question. When we read it, I ask y'all a question. Who did it sound like? Hallelujah. Go ahead, Op.
This is Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up upon the bright sword, and the glittering spear. And there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses. And there is none end of their corpses.
Y'all see that, right? This is how it's taught on the street corners. Woe to the read verse 2 again. Or read verse 2. No, verse 1. Yeah, read that. Watch this.
Woe to the bloody city.
To the bloody city. Go ahead.
It is all full of lies and robberies.
Who lied to you? Who said lied to you all these years? 400 years of oppression. They indoctrinating you with something, right? Getting you built up. Yeah, woe to this bloody city, right? But America is a country with many states and cities in it. What city? Go ahead, Op.
They pray departeth not. The noise of a whip.
The noise of a what?
The noise of a whip.
Who got whipped for 4 years? Physically and spiritually. What nation did that? Right? Go ahead, Doc.
And the noise of the rattling of the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And of the prancing horses.
Mm-hmm.
And of the jumping chariots.
And they stopped. And they convinced the listener that this is talking about who? Who does it seem like it's talking about? America, by the way I emphasized on it. Watch this though. Jump down to verse 7. Because they don't want to deal with this when they're dealing with someone that is ignorant or unlearned. This is how they catch them. They just want to bring them into the assembly and figure out catchphrases. We ain't trying to do that. We're trying to give you truth. And if you reject truth, so be it. We're not trying to convince you through lies. Verse 7. Who is it talking about? Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass.
It shall come to pass.
That all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee.
So it's talking about that bloody city, the noise of a whip. Go ahead. What city is it?
And say, Nineveh.
America.
Nineveh.
New York.
Nineveh.
Nineveh. That's simple. Y'all see how simple that is? If a person just read down and get the context, that bad doctrine is now out the window. And then they'll still try to convince you. No, it's America. See, no, I need precepts, not he said. So we're going to check that one off the list. Bad doctrine, 0. Truth doctrine, 1. Let's go to the next one. Let's get Exodus 11 and 7. Exodus 11 and verse 7. But y'all see where I'm going with this? Y'all kind of, because I don't want anybody at Israel now, Chelsea, House of Yah, anybody to just go off what somebody is saying because they sound good and they sitting up in that seat, right? I want everybody to be able to read for themselves. So let's make it convincing today to read for ourselves after these Shabbat studies. You know what I mean? In these different gatherings. So Exodus 11 verse 7.
But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that Yahweh doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
How can somebody answer this? How did the Most High put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel in this particular book, chapter, and verse? Or how do the camps emphasize and portray how the Most High put a difference between Israel and the Egyptians in this verse? Have anybody ever heard this verse be brought out before? No? Nobody? Okay. All right. So the camps will use this to say that the Most High put a difference between Egypt and Israel because Egypt is a group of people who come from Ham. And Ham means burnt, black, or quam, right? And they would use skin, they would use more so like the deformity of heads by saying this is what the Most High is talking about. When you put an Egyptian next to an Israelite, you can see a difference, right? When you look at the skin tone, they are burnt. We're darker, we're of a darker descent, and then they'll go to Job and Songs of Solomon, I am black but comely and all of that. But when you look at them, they more so burnt, right? They skin just different. They just look different. He's not talking about depiction right here. Want to know why? Jump over to, let's go to Genesis 42. If he was talking about skin complexion or a depiction with bone structure and all these different things, the noses, the lips, and all of that, right? Then why was, well, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. Genesis 42, pick it up at verse 7. Okay. And by the way, feel free to look this up. Type in Exodus 11 and 7. Listen to how the camps use it. Some of them they'll just read it and then say, see, thus says the Lord, or thus says Yahuwah or Yahweh. He put a difference between Egypt and the Israelites. And then just keep on moving. And some of them will try to elaborate. So what I say, Genesis 42?
2:7. It's Genesis 42, verse 7. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them.
He did what?
Made himself strange unto them,
Go ahead.
and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. Verse 8.
So stop right there. So they said they came from the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan was a Phoenician speaking type of people. So they spoke the same way, right? So we know that there's no difference there. So let's get the language barrier out the way. No different there, right? And this is Joseph, one of the sons of Jacob, right? Talking to his brethren. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him.
They knew not him, right? They knew not him. He knew his brethren, but they knew not him. So this could be used on both sides. They'll use this to say, see, they didn't recognize Joseph because he was dressed in Egyptian apparel, right? And all these different things, right? And that's how you know we're substantiating that the Most High put a difference between us and the Egyptians, because when we see him, we can't recognize him to be Israel. But I say this, if it was a difference, quote unquote, then they would recognize that there was Joseph up there. You get what I'm saying? They would have looked at him and said, he don't look like the rest of these Egyptians. He look like a brood. See how I can go on both sides, but the truth side is substantiated more. So they would have recognized that, right? Let's go to Acts 21. And while y'all going there, remember, Moses, right when he was dealing with the Midianites, right? When the shepherds came and made them go away from the well, it said that the Midianites, the daughter of, what was his name? The father. Jethro. The daughter said, an Egyptian saved us. She mistaken him for an Egyptian. So where's the difference? Say that again, Emma.
He had on Egyptian clothes.
True enough. But still, if we are, because they'll contradict themselves, if we are depicted as who we are as a people, and you can clearly see the difference between bone structure and all of that, he could have had on whatever clothes he had on. They would have recognized him and said, he's a brute. When you catch him in a lie, then they'll flip it and say, well, it's no different from me saying, or from somebody saying that an American saved us. And because we dwell in America, they're going to just depict you as being an American. Well, you just got caught in your lie. All right. Yeah, Acts 21:37. So Joseph, and Moses, right? Looking like the Egyptians. And then let's see what it's saying, Acts 21:37 through 38. And we're gonna just get that Exodus 11:7 back.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 21, verse 37. And as Shaul, or Paul, was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, canst thou speak Greek? Art not,
38.
art not thou that Egyptian?
So, art not thou that Egyptian? Where was Paul from? He was a Benjamite. He said that in Romans 11. He said a Pharisee of the tribe of Benjamin. Why is everybody that's from Israel being mistaken for an Egyptian if the Most High put a difference between Egypt and Israel as far as what we look like? But everybody else being mistaken because we're all dark and melanated. It's something else why the Most High was telling us he put a difference. When you go back to that time, you got to think, we coming out of Egypt. The plague's hitting, right? When it says, shall not a dog move his tongue, could mean 2 or 3 things, right? In scriptures, these dogs ate certain ways back then, right? They ate the carcass of men, right? But it also can mean barking, loud noises, a siren. Who all cut through backyards when they was young and dogs just start barking. That's what it's talking about. So when we're in Egypt leaving, the dogs' mouths are shut towards the children of Israel. So if you're part of that mixed multitude and you're looking, you like, hold on, he got to be Israel. Everybody dark, but he got to be Israel. Because he ain't barking at him, but he barking at them. That group over there got to be, that's who I'm rocking with. That was the difference during that time, leaving out of Egypt. There was no siren, there was no nothing, no attack, no barking towards the children of Israel. And that's what the difference was. It was a distinction by the way that the dogs move or reacted. Y'all see that, right? Let's get something else. Genesis 38. Let's talk about the seed of copulation real quick. I heard this in times past. If y'all heard this before, let me know. Genesis 38. Let's read verse 9 and 10. So this is we just dealing with the seed of copulation, and is it a lawful thing if the seed of copulation hits the ground, or unlawful thing, so to speak? So let's see. Genesis 38, read verse 9 and 10. Okay. I wanted the 9. Let me see. Yeah, I wanted. I'm just getting what they use. Yeah, everything that they use first, and you know what I mean.
Genesis chapter 38 and verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing which he did displeased Yahweh, wherefore he slew him also.
So y'all see that, right? Onan went into his brother's wife. When died, Onan went into his brother's wife, and he spilled his seed on the ground. Now the doctrine is, when you go into your wife, you better not let that seed hit the ground, or the Most High is displeased. But they didn't read the context, and they're not going precept upon precept. There it is, right there in verse 8, or verse 9. Read the latter part of verse 9.
That he spilled it on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
lest he should give seed to his brother.
Lest he should give seed to his brother. We're going to get the law on this later, right? On as far as him giving seed to his brother, and figure out what that means. But before we do that, let's go to Leviticus 15 and see what is the law towards the seed of copulation hitting either the bed sheet, or the ground, or something, something that is cloth that's being worn or laid on. Because they'll read these two verses and then they'll give advice to a brother like, you better not let that seed spill out, or the Most High gonna kill you. And they go to this scripture and they scare people. So now when they start lying down with their spouse, it's like, I can't let it hit the ground. Not even a small percentage. I can't let it hit the ground. So what I say, Leviticus 15, we want 16 through 18. Get the law on that. What we're to do.
Leviticus chapter 15, verse 16. And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until the evening.
Now I thought he got to get killed. I thought he died. Go ahead.
And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water and be unclean until the evening. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening.
So that's all it is. a maritable act taking place, right? And the seed of copulation just so happens to be released and fall on something, skin, garment, bedspread, whatever the case may be. The Most High does not hold you accountable for that. But what happened in the days of Judah with his sons, we finna physically see why the Most High was wrathful with Onan. Let's go to Deuteronomy 25. Now I hope y'all following along, because I'm telling you, you're going to run into a lot of these brews, and they might not even bring out nothing that's being brought out today. You're going to run into a lot of people that just try to hit you with scriptures real quick.
Can you give that scripture out again?
The one I'm going to now? Deuteronomy 25 and verse 5. And we're going to read down to verse 10. So basically, that was the law concerning of the seed of copulation hit. You ought to wash your clothes and be unclean until the evening. We're going to get some more on this unclean too, because I got something in here that I want y'all to take a look at. But let's see why the Most High was wrathful with Onan. Go ahead, Op, when you get there. Yeah, I'll let y'all get there.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25 and verse 5. If brethren dwell together.
If brethren dwell together, so this was in the case of Onan, and Shua, from the eldest to the youngest, go ahead.
And one of them die,
Mm-hmm.
and have no child. The wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her.
Y'all see the law? Everybody catch that? Once that brother died, all right, died, then Onan was supposed to come up and raise seed in his brother's stead. But he thought something else, like he thought to do something else. Go ahead, Op.
And it shall be that the firstborn which she bare shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead.
And verse 7 says, that his name be not put out of Israel. Verse 7, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, right? So not everything was punishable of death. But in the case of Onan, the Most High was wrathful, right? Let's see what the judgment was here. Then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband brother refused to rise up unto his brother, the name or a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband brother. Pick it up at verse 8, Op.
Then the elders of the city shall call him and speak unto him. And if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face.
Big reproach. Go ahead.
And shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto the man that will not build up his brother's house.
Verse 10, and his name shall be called. They gave him a name, y'all. In Israel, the house of him that has his shoe loose. So he running around, and they like, that's loose shoe loose. They want to take care of his brother. Brother, they want to raise up seed to his brother. Look at him. And they laughing and mocking him. Right? And now you got to think at the time of Judah, we didn't have the elders and the gates to do that. So it was like a whole lot of stuff was punishable with death at that time. Then the city was built, the elders came, judgment was kind of, sought out a little differently. You know what I mean? Whether if it was punishable of death or punishable of reproach. I got you out. But they pointing at it. Can y'all imagine that? In America, we won't even look to follow this particular law because we'll be too shameful to do it, because we'll get scolded for dealing with our brother's sister, right? And she became widow, and we got to a certain age, depending on what age we was at, we'll be too shameful to do it. So we'll just let her marry another man who may not be a man of Yah. And it's like, we got to get back to the laws. We got to get back to our customs, our traditions. Go ahead, though.
And that's what I was getting at, because of the way we was raised in America, I couldn't do that.
I
mean,
understand.
you know what I mean? I understand the law. Like, this is my brother, this is my deceased brother's wife.
Right.
They didn't have any kids. So my job is to convince my brother before he died, please have a baby.
Right.
Like, before any of us.
And it gotta be a
young
male. It gotta be a
Right.
male.
Okay, you keep banging them out till you get married. No, I'm just thinking because the way they, I can't.
Specifically, it's another scripture. Specifically, it had to be a son. So he can do that all he wants. He had 4 girls, and Diane, you got to take on that.
Artificial insemination. You know what I mean? We can both go to the doctor. They gonna.
I got
You
you.
gotta take one.
So I guess she about to lose your shoes then.
No, I'm not trying to lose my shoes. I'm just trying to lose. I mean, when you see the times we living in today, though, like, which grown man in here can honestly say, like, if his brother passed away, like, if I don't have no kids, I need you to take one for the team and take one for the team. Like, come on, man, like.
Real
Go
quick.
ahead, go ahead.
Let me ask y'all this real quick. Why was there even a law like this? Think spiritually and everything. Why is it a law like this? Go ahead.
Name.
It's all about the bloodline. and
Right,
the
I get that.
importance. You know, if you don't do that, and
Right,
your family's cut off from what they're due,
right.
it'll fall on you.
I understand that.
Why else? The Messiah had to be born through a certain lineage as well, right? Israelites went through wars and all type of stuff. A lot of men could have died, this and that. It could have been possible without laws like this, that the line that he was supposed to come from David all the way down to Saul all the way down, could have been cut off if it wasn't for the Almighty put in place laws like this to ensure that the Messiah come through from the line of David all the way down to the point. You know what I mean? So just showing even the spirituality of why the Almighty even put things like in place. Because going into genetics real quick is what? The Y chromosome is passed down from father to son unchanged. And that's a scientific fact. So the Y chromosome from father to son go down unchanged from generation to generation. So go ahead.
Hallelujah. All right, y'all. So we see why the Most High was wrothful with Onan, because he did not keep that which was a law pertaining raising up seed to your brethren.
Sleeping with it though. He didn't mind sleeping with it though.
That's why he was so wicked.
And that was another reason why he was wicked. He'll do that, but then he'll think about it. He premeditated in the middle of, I'ma just boy. All right, y'all. So y'all gonna love this one. This next one. Cake not turn. Ephraim, cake not turn. What does that mean?
What?
Ephraim, a cake not turn. What does that really mean? What does that really mean?
Some people said what? So just tell them what.
What did you say?
All right, you.
Ephraim is a cake
I
unturned.
was gonna let him add to it. You gonna add to it? Go ahead.
When that chapter come out, sin, turn from sin.
We gonna get it. Yup. Hallelujah. Nope. Y'all hearing?
No.
He said, wasn't the chapter talking about sin, not skin tone? They're going to make it to be skin tone because they want our people to be from Mexico, and all these other different places because it's dealing with a lust within themselves. So they have
Is what I'm not hearing what you said.
Ephraim, a cake not turned.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Is,
About to read it.
is, but if they keep saying that, is that like them selling their birthright?
Ooh.
The way they say
keep
it.
saying that, yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Like,
Then when people keep on that telling them, no, it's not
she's
true.
saying the way the camps use it is they saying like that's them selling their
Is
birthright.
that like them selling their yeah?
They're trying to make that 12 tribe chart.
Yeah, it definitely can.
Yeah, because they trying to, I can see that. Yeah.
Wow. And then the more people teach them and try to show them in scripture and like that, they keep on just saying it.
Right.
That's like they trying to sell, like they don't want to be.
Yeah, I can see that,
Wow. So basically, like you said, so we go to the scriptures, like, so many people would say, like y'all know, they got a 12 tribe chart. They'll say, the Mexicans are this tribe. And this is the main verses they'll use. It say Ephraim is a cake unturned, and they'll tell you if a cake is not turned, that means it's gonna be lighter skin, like a lighter cake. So that means this one tribe is gonna be lighter skin. But he gonna read the verse, and the verse gonna speak for itself. So
Let me pull it up for y'all real quick. This 12 tribe chart. See exactly where they say they come from.
Any people hate our guts? Two.
Let's go to Hosea chapter 7. Hosea chapter 7. Now if we bethink the scriptures, right, we know that Hosea was king over Israel, right? The northern kingdom. And I think he reigned for about 9 years. He did that which was not pleasing in the sight of the Most High. So just think of King Hosea or Hoshea and what the did that pop up?
No.
There it is. Just want to pull up this chart for some of y'all that may not be familiar with it.
That chart there, you have a benchmark.
Try to get that for me out. All right, so what I say, Hosea chapter 7. So just look at the context, the time frame. We in like 730 something BCE, maybe a little bit before that, and we dealing with the northern kingdom, right before they went into captivity or exile into Assyria. And this was like one of the last straws between the northern kingdom and the Most High before he allowed Assyria to come on in. Yeah. Some reason it ain't popping up. What you say, I want to get straight to the verse, then I'm going to get the fullness. Yeah. So this is what they read. Start at verse 8. This is the scripture they go to.
This is Hosea, chapter 7, verse 8.
Uh-huh.
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So my thing is this. A cake not turned. We got some bakers in the house, right? All right. A cake not turned. One side is light, one side is dark. My question to them is, you pick which side it is. And they're going to say it's the lighter side. Because they have forsaken the natural beauty of our people, the darker skinned, melanated side of our people. And they want to go for the J-Los.
They hate themselves.
They hate their people. Secret self-hatred or whatever the case may be. So I say, well, let's read up a little bit and read down to get the context and see what it's talking about. Just like the brother said, it's talking about sin, right? And in the time of King Hosea, he's supposed to be operating this kingdom, right, in a rightly manner, but he's not. So he would be the king in a sense. But let's see what Ephraim had done while they were being ruled under King Hoshea. Let's start at verse 1. Let's see what it really means to be a cake not turned fully. Yeah, yup.
Again, it's Hosea chapter 7 and verse 1. When I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria, for they committed falsehood, and the thief cometh in, and the troop of robbers spoiled without. And they consider not in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face. They make the king glad with their wickedness.
They make the king glad with their wickedness. Go ahead.
And the princess with their lies.
Right.
They are all adulterers, as an oven heated by the baker, who ceaseth from raising after he hath kneaded the dough until it be leavened.
So the king he ceased from raising, right, after he had kneaded the dough until it be leavened. So the king then got idle because of their lies, right? Go ahead.
Verse 5. In the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hands with scorners, for they have made ready their heart like an oven.
They have made ready their heart like an oven. So they premeditating this stuff beforehand. Just like an oven is preheated for the cooking, for what's about to be put in it. They made ready their heart like an oven. Go ahead.
While they lay in wait, their baker sleepeth all the night.
So he sleeps, spiritually sleep, physically sleep, whatever. This baker is sleep. Go ahead.
In the morning it burneth as a flaming fire.
Verse 7, they are all hot as an oven. Let's keep using this metaphor about this oven. Right? They are all hot as an oven and have devoured their judges. So now they can't even look to be judged because they didn't devour them. And their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calleth unto me. The whole northern kingdom is wicked now. They don't even call unto me. Ephraim has mixed himself among the people. Now Ephraim has mixed himself among the people, doing idolatry, all different type of stuff now. Now we see why it says he's a cake unturned. Because the Most High said, what? Turn from your wicked ways. Scripture in 2nd Chronicles say, if my people humble themselves and turn. They didn't turn. They stayed right in the wickedness. Ephraim has mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Right? Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth it not. So my question to them now is, since we got the context of why Ephraim is a cake not turned, jump down to verse 16.
They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow.
Why you don't use this in your metaphor about Ephraim? What does a deceitful bow mean? If we see that you saying the cake unturned means complexion, it's talking about something else about Ephraim y'all not touching. Go ahead, Doc.
Their princes shall fall by the sword for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt.
So they are deceitful bow. So they hitting people from the blind side. Spiritually, a deceitful bow. What people in the world is doing that? Them people that y'all saying that's Ephraim, if somebody can pull up the 12 tribe chart, them people that they saying are Ephraim don't war like that. So why y'all ain't continuing to read the context, showing how they also are a deceitful bow, hitting people from the blind side? Come on now, man. This stuff got to be put in proper context. It's truth over lies, man. Truth over lies. So y'all see that, right? All right, let's get some more, man. We're going to speed it up a little bit. Let's go to this strange wife thing. Let's go to this whole marrying outside of Israel thing and see exactly what we can, see how we can substantiate truth. The doctrine is, when you go to Tobit, just like he was saying, what do the law say? When you go to Tobit, he said this. Go to Tobit 4, and he said, don't marry, he said, marry a person of your father's house. Man, that's good. Hallelujah. I believe that. Like I told y'all, my ratio, if I was a single brother in truth, my ratio would be 100 Hebrew women to 1. That's just my preference. Right? That's my preference. There's nothing wrong. Well, I'll say this. If a brother wants to look outside of the nation of Israel, it's nothing wrong with it unless it's one of the nations that the Most High declared is not to mess with. But we do know that it's not an expedient thing to do. You don't have to do it right away. Continue to seek that woman of truth, that woman of your father's house, like Tobit said. But if you so happen to go outside, let's not judge these brothers or these sisters as if they are wicked because we don't know what descent this woman came from. But let's deal with the manner as it is according to the law and say, you know what, if she don't come from the 7, it got to be all right with the Most High because we don't add or take away from his law. Right? So it got to be okay in the sight of the Most High, but just make sure if you decide to seek after, just make sure, man, you're doing it with a great heart. Just make sure that that woman, if she's outside of the nations, we're going to get that too. If she's outside of the nations that the Most High said don't mess with, make sure she's serving the Most High. Because you can deal with an Israelite woman and she'll be serving BAALs as well. So now what? Now what? Don't matter. It's all about who you serve. So let's get the context. Let's go to Ezra 10 and 3. They're going to jump here, and then they're going to try to leave it there and say, don't marry no woman, period, outside of Israel. But then they just said you can mess with these Ephraimites that sit over there on the islands, who's not Israel. I don't get it. Ezra chapter 10. Ezra chapter 10 and verse 3. We almost done here, y'all. Got a few more.
This is Ezra, chapter 10 and verse 3. Now therefore, let us make a covenant with our Elohim to put away all the wives and such as are born of them, according to the counsel of Yahweh, and all those that tremble at the commandment of Elohim, and let it be done according to the law.
So right here they'll just say, put away these wives. Verse 2, it talks about strange wives. So when they see strange, they automatically think it's anybody outside of Israel, right? Let's go back a chapter, because we got to understand and know that our book wasn't originally written in book, chapter, and verse form. So when we go back to verse 9, that's the proper context. So that's all I'm trying to substantiate here today is go back a little bit, read down a little bit, or a few chapters or so, and get the proper context so that you're not deceived. Ezra chapter 9, all we want out of there is verse 1 and 2. And on y'all spare time, y'all can read through this.
This is Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations.
That sounds like what Ephraim did as well, mixing with the people. You mix with the people, you're going to do what the people do. They say when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's what they saying. So this is why the Most High this is what the Most High is bringing out. Go ahead, I'll keep reading.
Even of the Canaanites,
right?
The Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabite, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for sons, so that the set apart seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass.
So the Most High don't want us dealing with a specific group of people outside. Specifically, but we also got to be mindful who we're dealing with outside of those nations that's being brought forth, even with our own people. Just use wisdom and be mindful. Y'all know about the strange woman in Proverbs, right? Her steps lead us down the hill. That could be an Israelite woman, Japhet woman, anybody. Let's get the law, though, on this matter. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7. Right before he told us we was a peculiar people. And like I said, on your spare time, you can read Ezra 8, 9, and 10. It's going to all mesh together exactly who we are not to deal with, who's totally off limits. Deuteronomy 7, verse 1. Okay, I'll start it off for you too. Well, matter of fact, you can start it off. Okay, yeah, I know.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. When Yahweh the Elohim shall bring thee to the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites,
Uh-huh.
and the Girgashites,
Uh-huh.
and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you.
Uh-huh.
And when Yahweh the Elohim shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them,
No covenant with them.
nor show mercy unto them.
Verse 3 says, neither shall you make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter thou shalt not, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto his son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, and they, that they may serve other Elohim. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. But this shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, break down their images, cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. Destroy them. Because it's better that they be destroyed than we have to deal with them, period. When you come into this land. To be a Kodesh people, which he later told us in verse 6. So don't let nobody deceive you with wordplay. But you use wisdom of the matter to coincide with the law. I understand that these nations he don't want us to deal with, but I also understand that an Israelite woman can also cause me to serve other deities.
It's a lot of them.
This stuff get deep, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this is what I be reading on my spare time. Like these internet dudes, man, these internet what they call them, internet scholars, YouTube scholars. These dudes sit here and give you something. And guess what? We can't ask them questions back.
And there's a lot of them is sorcerers.
Sorcerers, they all type of things.
So are
We can't ask them no questions back.
to the altars and everything.
So what you gonna do? You gotta make a choice now. I can't ask this dude no question after that 4-hour video. He right. It was 4 hours long. He gotta be right. And they run with it. And then they carry the doctrine over. Right? They come into the synagogue. Hey, bro. Hey, I don't mess with dude. Why? Hey, he messing with that white girl. You know the Most High. Oh yeah, let's go to the law, brother. You show them in the law, and they be like, nah, bro. Then they look at that and say the whole congregation wicked now, because they accept that. But there's no law that say he couldn't mess with her. Because those things that are not unlawful are also not speeding. Just like if I told y'all I'm a vegan, right? How many vegans in here raise your hands? Is that against the Most High's law to be a vegan? He gave us a dietary law, didn't he? We can't find where the Most High saying, thou shalt eat that which is not meat, but be a vegan. We can't see that, can we? So why they don't blast us for that? It's a preference outside of what's the law. All right, so let's continue, man. We're going to wrap it up in a second. Marriage bed. Marriage bed is undefiled. Let's get this. The marriage bed is undefiled. Hebrews 13:4. Somebody give me an interpretation on this, because this is the general thing that's being brought forth. I just need for somebody to bring out how do you see this when it says that the marriage bed is undefiled? Anybody? You say the married couple? Yeah, let's get a married couple on board. How y'all feel about that scripture?
What's the scripture again?
Hebrews 13:4. Let y'all get there, and then y'all can give me an answer. How y'all feel about it?
Whatever you do in your bedroom with your wife is cool.
Okay. Everybody in agreement? All right. Y'all quiet. Y'all they got this one, they got shaky. All right, hold on for the answer, Ops.
This is Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled.
Uh-huh.
But whoremongers and adulterers, Elohim will judge.
Whoremongers and adulterers, Elohim will judge. Let's get a preset to see what exactly was written here, right? Because I used to think that whatever you do with your spouse is acceptable, right? But then I got hit with some things that I was like, ooh, I got to switch the game up. Because Okay. Let me try to make sure I PG it. I'm gonna try to make it funny too, man. You and your spouse come into the room and y'all want to get intimate. Y'all see I'm stuck because I'm like, all right. And I slap her across the back. Ah! You like that, don't you? I mean, whether she like it or not, is that the right thing to do? This is how people use it, though. They say marriage bed undefiled, and you can do, anything under the sun. So I look at it like we need to use wisdom and say, let's do what is natural to our spouse. She's not going to put nothing on me that's not tolerable in my natural, I don't tolerate that. That is not the natural use of a man. That is, and we got some kids in here that can spell too. Shoot, I was going to try to spell it. But that is not a natural thing for me to put on my body, in my body. Nah. So maybe the scripture ain't talking about what we thought it was talking about. Right? People in there putting each other in headlocks and all this crazy stuff and using the scriptures. The marriage bed is undefiled, bro. Y'all laughing, y'all.
You PG'd it the best way you could.
Right. Yeah, headlock. But it's true.
The kids thinking wrestling now.
Right.
Kids like, I just got done watching wrestling. All right, y'all, let's get a precept, man. Let's go to Genesis 35 and 22. The marriage bed is undefiled and honorable above all, but the Most High will judge whoremongers, adulterers, right? Genesis 35 and 22. And for all these scriptures, y'all can read them all for yourself. Read up, read down, man. So, let me get there real quick. Genesis 35, all we want is 22.
And it came to pass, when Israel dwelt in the land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine. And Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12.
So, Reuben laid with his father's concubine. That is now an undefiled bed. That bed is now, or defiled, so to speak. That bed is now defiled because he went into that which was his father's. That's whoremongering. And what the scriptures say, whoremongers, the Most High will judge. Adulterers, the Most High will judge. If you are engaged to your spouse, do what the law says to do. Surely endow her to be your wife. Premarital sex is not fornication. That's Christian doctrine. That's bad doctrine alert 101. But if you lie down with your spouse who you are betrothed to, then you are to endow her to be your wife. But if you want to stay in a state of just coming together, laying down, and going back to your respectable places, you have now entered into the lane of whoredom. And that is not something that's acceptable in the eyes of the Most High. Y'all see it? Leviticus 18 and 8. Leviticus 18, verse 8, that's all we want. So we see that the law is here exactly what a lot of people do and have done in the past. We got right here. Got a few more, y'all, then we're going to wrap it up.
Leviticus chapter 18, verse 8. The nakedness of thy father's wife shall thou not uncover. It is thy father's naked.
So when you see this, it says don't uncover your father's nakedness, meaning his personal nakedness, which means your father, his own, right? And also that which is his, which is his wife. That is your father's nakedness. Don't uncover it. And that is the law against it. That's a defiled marital bed.
It said that when Reuben did it, Jacob got salty, right? Because he went to his father's couch. But it also could translate over to bed, right? And that what was unlawful in the sight of the Most High. One more scripture on this, then I got you, Eden. Leviticus 20 and verse 11, a couple chapters old. And this is also, let's clarify something. Remember Ham on the ark. It said that he uncovered Noah's nakedness. And they were like, oh yeah, he did some old almost stuff. Well, when you look at the law, it could be two things. Like I said, the father's nakedness can be his, like my nakedness is my nakedness, and it can also be my wife. So don't just put it all on one side and say he did some old homo stuff. Right? What I say, Leviticus 20 and 11? Go ahead, take off.
And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness.
Y'all see that? Go ahead.
Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
So simple as that. Do not uncover your father's nakedness. Even you got something?
No, I was just saying they stress more about what uncovered actually means. Because I think, from what I've studied, that uncovered don't even necessarily mean that you have to actually do the act.
Okay.
If you look at a man's wife,
Right.
you can go ahead and let go.
Absolutely. So it's physical and spiritual. Uncovering means, you know, seeing past what she's wearing, seeing past, you know, because me and my wife talked about this, right? And if my wife just so happened to come out of the bathroom and by mistake cross paths with Uriah, right? They didn't mean to have that encounter. She just came out the bathroom. Our bathroom is actually in our room. But she came out the bathroom and he seen through the crack of the entrance door, like, oh snap, I didn't mean to see that. Like, he didn't uncover her nakedness. That was just by default. Now, if he looked further than that, like, oh, then he's uncovered her nakedness without even doing anything. If she has on clothing and he has a personal issue with lust and he's just looking to see past the clothes, he's uncovered her nakedness, right? If he tries to take her clothes off to get, you know what I mean, rape or whatever the case may be, that's all involving in uncovering the nakedness, whether it's physically or spiritually.
And
So
that's any
what
man
it is
with
to
any
uncover.
any man towards any man's wife. I don't wanna say
Right, just as David did.
because
she
the
was
sin
bathing.
begins with the eyes.
Right, she was bathing, so she was already naked,
He was
but
out
he
of order.
looked to do something other than, you know, restrain from it. So that's what it is. All right. Let's get two more, then we're gonna wrap it up. Revelations 1 and 14. Yahushua, is this Yahushua's heavenly depiction or is this a earthly depiction? We shall see. And it's so much more, y'all. Like this whole book is filled with scriptures that's taken out of context by either the churches, the camps, whatever the case may be. Right? We just got to be careful. Revelations 1 and 14.
Oh, no.
14 through 16.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they were burnt in a furnace.
Let's stop right there. They'll teach this on the streets, and they'll put up that image, and they'll say, this is what Christ looked like when he walked the earth. That's exactly what they'll say. They'll just stop right there. Let's keep reading.
And his voice as the sound of many waters.
So my question to them would be, so he sound like many waters? He sound like many waters when he walked the earth too? Go ahead.
And he had in his right hand 7 stars.
I didn't never see nobody say he had 7 stars. The disciples ain't never asked you no question like, why you walking with them 7 stars in your hand? Go ahead.
And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword.
Okay.
And his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength.
I ain't see nobody doing like this. Hey, turn it down a little bit, man. Light, it's bright.
So is this a heavenly depiction or earthly depiction? Heavenly. How can we substantiate that with a precept though? We about to get that, but even just staying in the same chapter, how can we even substantiate that by staying in the chapter alone? Well, Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1.
Verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation of Yahweh Shahamashiach, which Elohim gave unto him.
So the revelation, which means to reveal, right? Go ahead.
To show unto his servants things which must surely come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John.
Unto who? John the Revelator. Which John was on the island of Patmos. He's seen a vision of the heavenly depiction. Right, on Yahweh's day, the Shabbat. Right? Getting that vision. Now let's go to Isaiah 53. Let's see how he looked with a precept. Let's see how he looked when he roamed the earth. And I got one more, and we're gonna open it up. Like I said, if anybody else got anything, I don't care if it's non-Messianic, camp doctrine, church doctrine, whatever, bring it forth. Let's edify each other. Isaiah 53. You want verse 1 and 2.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 1. Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
Let's stop right there. I asked this brother the question last week on the radio station. Let me ask y'all. When you look at the depiction in Revelations, right, 1 and 16, when it says his countenance was bright as the sun shining. What do y'all say that's beautiful? That's beautiful, right? Why is it saying right here that he had no comeliness, right? And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He's looking like a normal man, walking around. Not like that in Revelations 1 and 16, right? But let's see something, though. It says, who has believed our report, right? First and foremost, the non-Messianics don't even believe that Hamashiach even existed. They don't even believe the report that's been given all from Genesis to Malachi, even him being in the Old Testament, right? But watch this. I'm going to squeeze in something for y'all. It says, for he shall grow up before him as a tender plant and a root out of the dry ground. How did Hamashiach even come about into this world? Through a what? A virgin, right? Let me ask y'all something. Can you water a plant, or can a plant grow without you watering it? Ironic that Joseph, they say Joseph is the father, but it was through a virgin, a young maid who was not touched. It said they did not come together. He didn't know her until Hamashiach came. So just like that root that came out of the dry ground, metaphorically speaking about this plant that grew without being watered, he came out of Mary and he didn't, no seed was planted in him. Y'all see that? So lies, man, lies and hypocrisy and all these different things that we got to tear down, right? So let's move to the last thing, man. Watching the, go ahead, brother.
Why do some people believe that he did come through a mortal man, like from sickness?
Carnal mindset.
Yeah,
I believe in the virgin birth.
You believe in the virgin birth? Yeah. I would say, you said carnal?
Yeah, it's the mindset. Like, it's a carnal mindset.
Right. I would say, because a lot of doctrine has been tossed around about because this is a lot of Messianic Israelites too that believe that he was born in Joseph, and they'll start talking about the curse of Jeconiah and how the Messiah was what they'll say how he was supposed to come. He wasn't supposed to come from. I can't remember the teaching on it, but you're probably familiar with it. They say that he wasn't supposed to come from a tamed, anybody that was tamed. So they say the curse of Jeconiah would have made him come from a tamed descent. So they basically say that he came physically from man, or something like that, because something that happened with Jeconiah back in like Chronicles or something like that. So that was like one of them, and then there was another one with them just not believing in the power of Elohim. You know, when you ask them, because he asked them that like, y'all err the scriptures not knowing the power of Elohim. Remember that? So a lot of times when you're dealing with Hamashiach and the things that he brought forth, a lot of people just don't believe in the power of the Almighty. They don't believe it can happen. But then when you go to Genesis, you say, well, how was Adam brought forth?
Right.
Out of the dust of the ground. And they'll run with that. They'll actually quote it. But then when you get to Hamashiach, they be like, it takes man to do that. Nothing has ever happened under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. But we see scriptures and prophecies showing how he will come and different things of that nature. So all these are like lessons for themselves, like a separate day. So we'll deal with it like later on fully.
I think too, people just want to give an answer that don't seem like, because a lot of people that don't believe in like the book at all, that's one of the reasons why they don't. And so they'll try to give an answer to soothe them.
That's most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. So let's get the last one, y'all. Like I said, all these are lessons within themselves. Washing of water by the word. Let me ask y'all this: a dude come up and say we don't have to be physically baptized in the water, right? We are washed by we are washed of water by the word. What would you say to him? There it is. Say that again. Yahushua was baptized. So why are we refraining from following after him? We say we follow the Mashiach, and he was baptized. Why are you now jumping to Ephesians to now start up a new doctrine? Let's go to Ephesians chapter 5 and 26. That's a good one. That's actually like the number one answer. Walk away from there. Hey, Yahushua was baptized. Walk away. You said shake the dust off your feet, right? So we almost done, y'all. Ephesians 5 and 26. I'm going to show y'all something, though. Remember, it's a one second now, it's a physical and spiritual thing to a lot of things, and some things are just physical, right? Metaphorical, or literal. So it's a metaphorical and literal thing, a physical and spiritual thing. But some things just stay at literal or physical. We just gotta know, you know what I mean, how we're or what we're reading, how to discern it. So now they just going on the spiritual side, like it's just spiritual. This is what we are to do. That's it. We don't do nothing physical because they just, like he said, they just corny. 26, what they bring out. I'm gonna go there though. Okay. So we almost done. 2 more scriptures and we finished. Okay. Go ahead,
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
So do we just take that and run with it, or do we figure out what it's really talking about? Figure out what it's talking about. Jump up to verse 25.
Husbands, love your wives, even as Hamashiach also loved the church, and gave himself for it.
And gave himself for it. Hold that in your mind. Go ahead.
That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
What do the book of John say in the first chapter? In the beginning was the word. And what? Right. So we see that this mortal man, or this man, right, was made mortal, right? He was the Word made flesh and dwelt among us, right? Then, howbeit, do we see how it coincides with us being washed by the water, or of the water by the Word? We finna get the spiritual sense of what it's really talking about. Let's go to John 19 and see how we're actually washed of the water by this Word who was made manifest into flesh. John 19, and we want 33 and 34. Let's see something real quick. So he said, you're washed. And this is Paul right here. So even when they will quote and say, y'all ignorant Christians is struggling with Paul's writings. Well, don't allow the recompense or the reproach to be returned to you, or the rebuke, so to speak, to be returned to you by following this doctrine, right? Following this doctrine to steer our people away from being baptized, just as Hamashiach was. Yeah, 33. Hallelujah.
This is John chapter 19 and verse 33.
My bad. Start at 32.
Okay. Verse 32. Then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first and of the other, which was crucified with him. But when they came to Yahushua and said, and saw that he, but when they came to Yahushua and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side.
And what came out?
And forthwith came out of blood and water.
Blood and water. Y'all see that, right? So we're seeing the build up to being washed of the water by the Word, right? If I poke Yash right now, what's going to come out? Blood. Where the water at? Why is water coming out of him? Say what? Y'all finna see the spiritual side in it. Let's go to let's top it off with Revelation 7. Watch this. Pay close attention. They hit you with that wash of the water by the Word script. We got two scriptures to back up why they're wrong in the doctrine, whether their intentions are good or not. Like I said, we manning up on this. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Don't be afraid to correct anybody. Me, y'all, anybody. Correct us. You know what I mean? And if you don't love the correction, and Proverbs say that you a fool. Revelation 7, verse, let's read verse 9. We're going to jump down.
After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands.
Let's sidebar real quick. Jehovah's Witness knock on your door and say 144,000, that's the only people that's going to inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. Hit them with Revelation 7 and 9 and ask them, who is this great multitude that no man can number after the 144,000? That's another bad doctrine that we just exposed. Jump down to verse 13.
And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they?
So he said, who is these people that are arrayed in white robes? Where they come from? One of the elders, right? Go ahead.
And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest.
He said, you know. Oh, okay.
Read that again. Verse 14. And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, these are they which came out of the great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.
How can you make a white robe out of red blood? That's spiritual. This is why when Hamashiach was pierced, the blood came out with the water. He's the eternal, he's the Aleph and the Tav, the Alpha and Omega, right? The beginning and ending. When he speaks to your salvation, you're purified. What happened when the two men was next to him? What did he say?
Today.
You'll be with me forever. Because he's the word. He can do that. So let's not put this thing in a box. He can do that. He can give you eternal salvation however he give it to you. Washed by the word. Go ahead, sir.
Is that why it says them three agree is one, the water and the blood and the water?
1 John 5 and 2.
Yeah.
They are in agreement. The spirit, is it the spirit, the word, and the blood, something like that?
Yes.
1 John 5 and, well, not 1 John 5 and 2. Yeah, it might be 1 John 5 and 2. We'll get it. We'll get it in a second. So,
One agree in heaven and the other agree on earth.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that.
So Hamashiach just giving you the spiritual of it all. That you still got to be baptized in this water, right? Because it symbolizes death and resurrection on the spiritual side. But he has the ability to wash and cleanse you by just him being the word, that spirit, right? The manifestation of what the Most High spoke from the beginning, right? It all coincides with each other, right? So that's what we see right here. These men were arrayed in white robes, and they came out of the great tribulation, and they were washed with the blood of the Lamb. So we have to be partakers in the Mashiach to even make it out of this tribulation. If we non-Messianic, you ain't right there and getting, you ain't right there where the elder is asking that question, right? So I'll open it up, man, to y'all, questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to add. Go ahead.
Me? Okay.
Yeah, what they saying?
So, it froze.
Okay. We'll come back. We'll come back to it. Go ahead.
I can see two questions though, but I can't see the first question.
We'll just come back to it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Emily here.
Okay, so,
I can look at it on here.
being baptized in the water, is that like an outward showing? And then baptizing in the blood, is his spirit, word,
Yeah.
I think, you know where I'm trying to go with this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So would we be correct in saying that, like, you know, the blood is his, spiritual? Through his word, through keeping the word and learning the precepts of the word, whatever, keeping commandments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, the Most High declared the end from the beginning. So when in the time when we was in Egypt doing Passover, that blood symbolized what was to come, the shadow of things to come. Now we being believers of Mashiach, we have to confess and say that he was the one who came to die for our sins. We have to walk as he walked. You can't just say it with your lips, but when we walk as he walked, you are now pretty much taking on that spiritual cleansing. And you're pretty much under the umbrella of what he came to do. Once you walk as he walked, because you're showing your your connection. You know what I mean? You're showing what you are willing to do, your belief. You know what I mean? Your lifestyle. So yeah, it all coincides with each other. And then the physical baptism does pretty much coincide with the outer. Like Paul said in Romans 6 and 3, when you go down, you're pretty much burying the old man, and when you come up, you're resurrecting into the new man. Don't stop there. Everything now has to be the spiritual walk coincided with the physical walk. So faith without works is dead. Put the faith and works with it. Anybody else? Go ahead, Ian. I got you.
This is, I'm thinking that, if you believe that in the beginning was the word, and the word has that much power, that most things y'all spoke into existence. And by Yahushua being with him and having that authority, anything he speaks can happen. So that power in that word, you know, is what can bring things through. It doesn't matter if y'all could have just spoke him into her womb, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But to address what this brother was questioning earlier, a lot of people, well, some people say that since Joseph and her were engaged, that he could have slept with her. And that's where some of that Joseph stuff comes from. But if you believe the word, yeah.
I was going to say he could have slept with her, because if you are engaged, you can sleep with your spouse and it not be a sin, because they're engaged and they're going to get married. But the scripture don't say that he did sleep with her. It's very obvious when you read the scriptures or when we read them, and people just say that, but I don't know. When you read Matthew 1, it says clearly that all through the scriptures, it says Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bare Cain. Abraham, knew Sarah, and she conceived. The word "knew" is all through the scriptures. And then when it says Joseph knew not his wife until after the child was born, what does that mean? It means exactly what it says. He did not lie with her until after the Messiah was born. And then you drop down to about the 25th verse of Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1, I think in verse 25, she said this. She said, actually, just get it real quick. Matthew 1 and 25. I think that's right.
Come on,
You already here? Okay, I got it. Matthew 1 and 25. Watch what this says.
It says, and he knew her not till she had brought forth her firstborn son. And he called his name Yahushua.
It's very clear. Now let's drop up and read verse 18 of that same chapter. Matthew 1 and 18. Watch what she said. I think that's it.
Now the birth of Yahushua Mashiach was on this wise. When as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Ruach HaKodesh.
They was engaged before they came together. Before they lay together, she was pregnant.
Right.
Like, we can't get around it. That's crystal clear. So,
that would be the go-to verse when somebody say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. See, I got you. Nah.
I just going back to when we were reading Deuteronomy in chapter 7 and 2 and discussing marrying women of other nations. I just had a question about just in general, if offhand you all know of any particular verses where the Most High addresses anyone from the tribe of Japheth and the Owls and the Gentiles in the Old Testament.
As far as
just in general overall, like just
marrying them and stuff like that.
Marrying them for sure, but even in any circumstance.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 7.
No, not necessarily. And this is pretty much to just make sure and see if there were any other nations he was against marrying, right?
Right. And well, because it lists, like when we read the chapter, it lists a lot of the nations that are always talked about in Israel in the Old Testament, the people that we always are around. Right. And it even lists the nation of Egypt. And we know, like even Moses was with an Egyptian, but that was before the law came forth also. So, like it usually, I don't know. Like it might talk about it, but I just don't real I've not read any verses where it really deal with the Owls of the Gentiles or the seed of Japheth and our people much.
This is the thing. And Ezra 10, I think it was 9 and 2 where I mentioned Egyptians. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do base everything off of is the law. Right. So even if he mentioned the Egyptians, is what the law says. So it's kind of like substantiating what we're bringing forth about marrying outside of your nations. When they say, somebody can say, don't marry a Shuhite. And it's like you go back to the law and you say, well, whether the Most High say don't make a covenant with the Shuhite. Well, you go over here to the book of Nehemiah, and it said that the Most High killed him, and then look who he was messing with when the Most High killed him, or something like that.
Right.
It's like, well, he didn't necessarily kill him for the Shuhite. He
Right.
killed him for the wickedness that the Shuhite brought forth. Just like people get killed for wickedness that they do just within the nation. So when Ezra mentioned the Egyptians, I just go back to the law and I say, okay, I can see the 7, and maybe the Egyptians was added because of what was going on at that time. He said, like, y'all don't know Egyptians neither.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but we just go back to the law. I would say this though. Who was Jacob's 2 wives from? Rachel and Leah. Where were they from? Was they Israel or were they outside of the nation? Anybody know? Outside the nation, right? So you see how we can easily substantiate that and say, well, Leah was a Mesopotamian. Rachel, I believe, was a Philistine, or one of the vice versa. The Most High didn't never address him about who he dealt with in that particular manner. You know what I mean?
It was only one of them that had 12.
They was twins.
Oops, my bad. Let me go there real quick. I believe one of them was, like, they was twins, but I believe one of them was depicted as Mesopotamian, and one of them is depicted as a Philistine, I believe. Let me see real quick. Yeah, I think it's like Genesis. Or I could be thinking about the handmaids. Might have been a handmaid. Let me get that. I got it right here. My bad. Rachel and Leah was Mesopotamian. And Zilpah was Assyrian, and Bilhah was a Philistine. So the Most High never had an issue with, messing with those nations, unless they turn away from the Most High. Then it's
Right. That's any nation.
Right.
So, like if we read in chapter Deuteronomy 7, and he mentions specific nations, but then he says 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Like from a contextual standpoint, those sound like nations, like big nations that were running kind of things in that time,
Right.
in the time frame that we're talking about in Deuteronomy. And the reason I was asking about Japheth, because the seed of where we can put the modern day European seed at today, it don't mention that, and I don't see a lot of talk and mention about us intermingling with that nation in this time either. So like referring and making an inference, meaning like it's not, if it don't ever talk about Japheth, it's probably not gonna mention it because they might not have been a nation that was greater and mightier than us at that time. But in today's time, they are greater and mightier than us. And it told us here not to like mess with those nations that were greater and mightier than us. That definitely will take you away from the Most High at that time. So like just making, and I know like literally it says specific 7 nations. You know what I mean? But then we get instances where we know before, just like I said, like Moses was with an Egyptian, so I don't know. But that's just something I was thinking about because I've always thought that it's been lawful, basically, as long as the person doesn't take you away from the Most High. But then it's telling us, and then we see another verse too that we read about like warning us, our people, from doing that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, if you study on this 7 hard, you see why. That's why he wanted us to kill them, because we went and started worshiping their God, setting up altars, and we started making idols and stuff.
Right.
And the city we serving him, city we serving the Most High, then we started serving their gods.
Right.
Because the whole objective is
today in today's time.
The whole
that's what we're
objective
doing now.
is when you look at the law, remember it says remember in Exodus 20, it says the 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, right?
Yes, sir.
Then it tells you who are to keep the Shabbat with you, right? When we was in the land, it talks about the stranger that sojourns among you, right? So, is that stranger dealing with the 7, or is that stranger dealing with someone outside of the 7? Because if he said don't make marriages, he ain't gonna contradict himself. If he said don't make a covenant or nothing with them, destroy everything they got, he's not gonna contradict himself and say, let them now be joined among you. So that stranger to me, and I can do a little bit more research on it, that stranger to me had to have been outside of the 7 because they was physically destroying off these 7 nations
That's what's
at
going
that
on
time.
now.
And then once we got established, we was able to, move exactly according to how he said move. And then when we start getting other nations seeing what we're doing, they join themselves to us and stuff like that, and we moving forward from there. But I do a little bit more reading on that so I can see exactly who the strangers was that's joined amongst us. But like I said, we just go back to the law. Go ahead.
I finally got those questions. The first question was, did we say how he made a difference? I'm assuming she's talking about the difference between the Egyptians.
Yeah. So I was doing some research. I think it's in which history book was it? The history book that I was reading. I think Benaya got a book too that was talking about just like custom and different stuff with different I can't think of the book name and whatnot. But during that time in Egypt and still today, when a dog has a natural reaction, especially a dog that's not yours, they have natural reactions of barking, whether good, bad, or whatever. They say some dogs, you can tell when evil spirits is around. Some dogs start to, like mourn. Like, so I forget what book it was, but I'm gonna bring it out. But it was basically signifying how they had like an alarm system between the dogs in the land of Egypt and Mizraim. So if you're looking at the nation of Israel in the land of Mizraim and other nations, the mixed multitude and all of that, and you're not seeing these dogs bark at a certain people or attack them or whatever, then that allows you to be able to get a depiction. If we're the same color, and you like, I don't know if he's Egyptian or Hebrew, they both dark, right? When we get into our groups, within our household, and we walking amongst these dogs, and we just walking and leaving the land, if these dogs not barking, you like, yeah, these people have to be from Israel. Because these dogs are not barking at them. Why? They usually bark. This is what they do. After the 10 plagues and all of that, so you like, these got to be the people that's leaving the land. I'm following after they God, because these got to be the people that he's bringing out. If they barking at you, you ain't the people. So that was like a distinction outside of complexion that they try to use. They try to use that scripture to say he put a difference because his nose is not wide as mine. You see the nose, you see the head shape, you see how burnt he is, you see this and that. You see my beard is fully grown in and his is patchy. They use that to say that was the distinction that he was speaking on there. But I'm going to grab that book though. I'm going to grab that book to really like close it all the way out. Wish I would have had it though.
Do you want the next question? The next question was, so how do people, especially African Brews, call them people Judah with so much conviction? They call themselves Jews. They have Judah on their shirts. Why do we identify so much with that tribe? She's referring to like that whole 12 tribe chart, like how
they saying everybody is Judah, or they saying
no, they saying how how like the mass majority of Jews. I mean,
people would be like, I'm from Judah.
Yeah. We'll say Judah, and like how do we? She going off for the when you was talking about the cake unturned. She's going off for that.
Right. I think a lot of people, the vast majority, want to be from Judah is because the prophecy that's with Judah. When you read Genesis 49.
So they really don't know, but they just
really don't know because when you even look at the account given, I think it's in Ezra 2, it said that we pretty much lost our registry. And we talking a couple thousand years ago. So how do we all of a sudden find out what tribe we was from 2,000 some odd years later? And everybody is claiming to be from Judah. I think it's only because they feel as if Judah is the chosen of the 12, and a prophecy that entail, and then Mashiach come from Judah, and different things of that nature. So, you know, they just try to wear it on their shoulder with pride. I believe that. But me personally, I don't know what tribe I come from.
And one more thing concerning that is, you know, we got Northern and Southern Kingdom. So the Southern Kingdom did go into the transatlantic slave trade. But the Southern Kingdom consisted of the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi, plus some other scattered tribes within there as well. So since Judah was the biggest tribe, people just kind of say Judah. But there's no absolute fact that everybody in America is from the tribe of Judah. You definitely can't prove that at all. You know what I mean? That's
Okay.
against, you know.
I think I got a clarification on that other question too. She said, but was that difference as a result of a particular sign that was upon us? That's what I meant by how y'all made a difference between us and other nations. Can we clarify that, please?
She said, a sign between us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. It's like I said at that time. If you look, if somebody came in the room and they said, all the women go over here. Obviously, all the women, you're going to be able to tell who's a woman and who's not. Obviously. But if I say something like, I don't know, like, somebody help me out. Like, all the smart people go over here to this side. Right. Like, and I'm just saying, like, all the people that's good at math go over here. And it's like, how are we going to know who's good at math unless we test them? You know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't know unless we test you. So it was like a testimony at that time to show, like a sign or wonder, to show like who's Israel and who's not. Because everybody can just say that you're an Egyptian, just like we proved in the scripture. Joseph being depicted as Egyptian, Moses, and also Paul. So how can we really tell the difference at that time? Well, you use the nature of things. You already used the plagues. Right? You use the plagues to signify who's well kept and who's not. Now we're going to use these dogs to top it all off with. That was right after the 10th plague. Use these dogs to top it off with. When we leaving the land, we seeing what dogs is moving on these people and what dogs ain't. So to speak. So, yeah, it definitely was a sign. But if nobody got anything else, man, I'm gonna go ahead and just close it out. Oh, go ahead, sir.
In regards to what, and I was saying, Deuteronomy, I want to ask about Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10 through 14.
Okay.
And, like, is this considered, like, a sin if that captive is, like, worshiping another god?
Okay. 21 and 10?
Yeah, 21 and 10, verse 10 through 14.
Okay. It says, when thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and Yahweh Elohim has delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and thou shalt shave her head and part her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whether she will. But thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. So what's your stance on that again?
I was saying, like, what if the enemies, what if the lady that he lusted after, that was the enemy's nation, and was worshiping another god? What if she was worshiping another god? Was that considered, like, detestable and most high sight? Because it said, I know it's like in the time of war, when the Israelites was at war with the enemies, and if you take on, like, another wife, a wife from his enemies' people, and she's worshiping another god, is that considered?
That's a lady that he couldn't take on, because that violates a whole different law.
She wasn't qualified.
You might not read it right there, but we can read it somewhere else. Line
She
upon
wasn't
line,
qualified.
precept upon precept. Right? She wasn't qualified to be married.
What?
I forgot about my question.
Oh, okay, you good.
My first question was, okay, so in Ezra, it said 8 nations, but in Deuteronomy, it said 7. So what's the difference?
We always substantiate law.
Okay.
Like I was saying, like he could have said 10 more nations.
Okay.
That's exactly what's being done today. Is everybody will outcast all of the nations on top of the 7. But what did the law say, right? So that's what we just do. We just go back to what the law says. If he said the Egyptians, what do the law say?
Okay.
You know,
So-
that would mean that Moses was in error. Who else had an Egyptian wife? Didn't Joseph have an Egyptian wife? Or was that Ethiopian wife he had?
Oh, Ethiopia.
Ethiopian. Who else had an Egyptian wife? That would mean we would have to see a punishment or penalty for somebody dealing with somebody that's of Egypt. But I think when you're dealing with the time of Ezra, who in their right mind would want to deal with somebody in Egypt after we just left their nation, you know what I mean, some years ago? You know, who would want to deal with somebody in Egypt after they just treated us the way they treated us?
Exactly.
You wouldn't really want to deal with them, so that's now become a preference, but not a law.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So my next question was, okay, so, what if, oh shoot. So what if, so the brother, going back to the seed of compilation, so what if the brother never conceived a boy? Like, what if he just shoot out all girls? Do he got to keep going, or do we?
Hold on, the first brother?
No.
The second brother.
The second brother. So what if like he just pushes out all girls? Do he keep going till
You
he?
gotta bring that boy to take
So he
on the
just-
name of the one that was ceased.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my
Remember,
question.
everything
I gotta
is
change it.
substantiated through the seed of the father in that sense.
Right.
Like the lineage is substantiated through the seed of the father. That's actually what that scripture is talking about. That they use.
So if he was married, if that brother was already married, he still gotta marry the brother wife too? What?
Polygyny. Yup. You gotta do exactly what the law says do. Yup. Unless.
I guess the only other thing is, like you said, get another brother to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, but like maybe one don't want to do it. If you got another brother, the next brother do it. But somebody got to do it. So.
And you being blood brothers, not my brother.
Right.
I was saying, well, you can say 2, but it would be best if you just did it from your household.
Right.
So it's like, the moment he went into her, he had to perform that duty. He could have waited till Shua got older. Because if he felt that way before, if he felt that way at that time, he felt that way before. He just wanted to do something that was lustful. So if he didn't want to raise up seed, he could have just let Shua just grow up and do it. But when he went into her, he had to continue to do that which was lawful.
I mean, he basically just threw away the family on the ground.
Basically.
That was straight disrespectful anyway. According to those times.
In a lawful sense, though.
Yeah, it's like he would rather kill the seed to have pleasure with her than to do what he's supposed to be doing. And that was just ugly.
Now, was that the one that died?
Yeah, died for being wicked, and then Onan died for not following the law. In that sense. Yep.
Stuff is hard for that.
Yep. Somebody else got something?
I got a question, but it ain't got nothing to do with this.
Okay.
It's about Purim.
Purim?
I need more information on that.
Okay. Yep. We can deal with it after then. Hold that thought. Anybody else? No.
Yeah, I got a comment on
Oh, go ahead.
I don't understand why they can't. And Yahweh Shai came to remove that sin from us. Why would he use Adam's son, so to speak? Joseph being one of them. You know what I mean? Why I don't understand why you don't believe in the virgin birth Adam and Eve brought the sin into the world.
Right.
They brought death into the world.
So you were
Yahweh
saying,
Shah was bringing life back into the world.
so you said anything opposite of it would have been Yahweh
Right.
Shah
That would
coming
have been
from
doing the same
corruptible seed.
thing. David sinned, Solomon sinned.
Right.
So why would you use the male and the female to perform an act to bring life back into, you know what I mean, everlasting life?
Right.
So I don't understand how come they don't get that concept of this had to be pure from me. It couldn't come from Adam and Adam's seeds, so to speak.
It's called reason and logic. They want to use a bunch of logic and things that they haven't never experienced or seen in their lifetime. So that's what it's pretty much dealing with. They want to use logic and say that exactly what you were saying. You know, he got to come from a man. That's how a child is brought forth. You know what I mean? Because they have never experienced or saw that. So, but like the scripture says, it called Yahweh Shah what? The second Adam. Adam came here through the dust of the ground. Hamashiach came through a virgin. He was a dry plant springing out of the dry ground, or so to speak. It was like metaphorical. The second Adam. Yeah. But they ain't gonna see it though. Go ahead, Op.
My question is more about on the marriage part versus like Jacob having more than one wife, right? And to have grounds for divorce, one of them will have to step out. With having 4 wives, I figured one of them wives is gonna feel alienated or feel like, you know, they're not as special. Is she trapped in that situation until she step out? Like,
Which wife?
whichever one. This is, I figure, I can imagine it happened to her.
Right.
You know, one of the women felt like, even if it wasn't multiple wives, one of the women probably felt like, you know, I'm stuck with him until he write me a letter. But I don't want to, you know, so how do you, in this day and time, how do you balance that out? You understand what I'm asking?
It was actually the two sisters were trying to one-up each other.
Right.
Basically what that ended up doing.
So you asking how do you balance out having more than one wife
I'm asking.
in today's time, or?
I was one of the wives that's feeling a certain way
That's
without
what
that
I'm
relationship.
Yeah.
Oh,
Legally.
Legally.
And it'd be okay to marry someone else. Because she didn't like one of the handmaids that was given to Yaakov to bed down with.
Right.
Like at the end of 7 years, if she was free to go, could she just up and leave and
Okay.
remarry somebody else?
so you saying in today's time, example, a man had 4 wives, and one wife is feeling like, I don't want to be in this relationship.
I want to say if you got 4, just one, if she feel that way.
Oh, she got one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Any number.
Any
If
number.
she just feel like,
Regardless.
I don't want to be in a marriage,
Exactly.
how can she get out in today's time?
Exactly. From that day of time to now, if the law still apply, there's an unchanging hand.
Right.
How do you work that?
I'm going to ask, why would
You
she-
don't really work it because when you made a covenant, that's what the covenant was to be together for life. And so if a wife wanted to get out, technically she could leave but remain unmarried, meaning she have the right to leave that man because she don't want to be with him anymore, but she don't have the right to go and get a different husband as long as that man is still alive.
What about the man?
The man,
yeah.
the man is not bound by her decision. Right. So if she leaves, which means to separate, still be hold on. Yeah, if she leaves without a bill of divorcement, she has to remain unmarried, like he said. The husband is free to marry whomever, just as he would be if she never left. So he's not bound by her decision.
Okay.
Yeah. But if she want to do that, she better be careful. Because if she now then go and mess with another man, she now did what? Committed adultery.
Right.
Right.
Cleared it up.
Yep, that's what it is.
But
Well,
if
you're
he,
right.
but
There's
if
a lot of
he
cases
let
like
her,
that.
yeah, but if he let her divorce her, then she could remarry, right?
If he divorced her, y'all, she's
If
free.
he write her a letter. Right.
Yeah, she freed up.
Okay, what if she do use the law of the land instead of what the Most High law is.
Law of America.
The laws of America is not pleasing in the sight of the Most High.
So that brother shouldn't sign that divorce paper if the wife put it in?
I,
he wants to.
can I answer that?
Yeah.
From my own experience.
Because they don't, I say this before you say that, the laws of the land and the laws of the Most High, they only coincide sometimes.
Okay.
Not all the time, we just gotta get the context of what's going on. Go ahead.
Listen, my lawyer and her lawyer in the room. My first wife filed for divorce, right?
Okay.
I didn't want the divorce.
Right.
I'm going all about I ain't divorcing you, this ain't right, we don't have to do this. You know, her lawyer looked across and said to me, this don't happen whether you want it or not. It's just that simple. So you might as well stop with everything you trying to do now and just go along. This process is gonna happen with or without you.
That's what the lawyer's saying.
Yeah, both her lawyer and my lawyer. And I said, you know what? I'm done fighting.
Because you undid your part.
I'm done fighting. I signed the paper and we stayed in the house together for 2 years. Before I eventually had to move out. But yeah, that's what the lawyers, that's what they get paid to do. Listen, all the crying and everything that a man or a woman tries to do to keep the relationship together, they say when you're going through a divorce, you've been going through it for actually 7 years.
I've heard that.
It's just that now it came that breaking point where somebody said something has to change.
The reality of that.
Yeah. So when the women say it's over, it's been over for a minute.
Right.
It's just that things didn't change to her liking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Things didn't change to her liking, and she said, and I love my ex-wife, I do. Beautiful woman. She said to me, I can't do this no more. I've been with you as long as I could take it. You stop going to church. You ain't doing this. You ain't doing that. I've done it for 17 years and I can't do it no more. Now we have a beautiful relationship now, or a decent relationship. I go pick up my oldest daughter and we can talk and chop it up. But I, to some extent, is still resentful of that divorce ever happening.
It's gonna be there.
You know what I mean? So, because I truly did not want that to happen. But she had had enough. I worked too much, and I just wasn't doing things to her life. It wasn't that she didn't love me. It's that I wasn't fully communicating with her the way she wanted me to communicate.
All right, listen, let me say this. What you just said is, I think that's a problem that most women in America would love to have. She said you work too much. Like most women would love to have a man with that type of problem. Like you go to work too much. Like imagine all the other problems you can have to say you work too much. The money coming in the household. So you know what I mean? I'm just saying a lot of women say he don't work or something like that. So
Women need a whole lot of affection.
yeah, right.
And sometimes I'm just too tired to ask you how your day went. You know what I mean? Rub your back, massage your feet. And that's what women need. They really need that.
Right. So, all right, y'all, we got to wrap up. So, you know, if everybody want to kind of stretch a little bit, we'll do a couple songs before you go on break, all right? So if you want to stand up, stretch, or something like that, and we'll go from there.
I don't know if she here.
She here, she came through. She probably was unstoppable. Hold on.
Yeah, I thought she was the left or something.
I'm just trying to wait till it cool down.
Hold on. Did your mom leave or she across the hall?
I think she across the hall.
Okay. Anybody got a song to bring forth before we merge over into the praise and worship?
Yeah. Let's do a quick Shema real quick, then we hit the rest of it.
Come on, y'all, let's to the ones that can. To the ones that can, y'all stand on y'all feet. You don't have to if you don't want to. Stretch your legs if you need to.
Shema Shema, Shema,
Come on, y'all.
Shema,
Israel.
Shema,
Israel.
Shema,
Israel, yeah, yeah.
Shema,
Israel.
Shema,
Israel.
Shema,
Israel, yeah, yeah.
Shema, 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 Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. This little light of mine. Look at y'all. What is he
I
on?
just want to sit down right there and not really try it.
I was gonna tell you. I was gonna have him just sit in the seat up here.
Okay.
You mind if I get the seat for you? We're gonna have him sit down. I know he won't want to do it when he comes home.
Hallelujah. Y'all don't let me fail. I wanna be in your eyes. And if my faith grows weak, yeah, you keep me by and by.
Oh, sorry.
And if my faith grows weak, you always let me see something in my life that God has done for me. Y'all don't let me fail. I wanna be in your eyes. Let's go. And if my faith grows weak, yeah, you keep me by your side. And if my faith goes weak, you always let me see something in your life that God has done for me.
Y'all gotta remember, we doing this for the Most High. We ain't doing this to be seen by man. We don't care who's looking at us.
They give us a beat from y'all.
Hey, hey, oh yeah, you're so worthy. May you receive our praise. We were born just to bless you. That's why we here today. Oh yeah, you're so worthy. May you receive our praise. We were born just to bless you. Hey, 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 what we doing? We come to give you glory. We come to give you praise. We come to tell your story. We come to bless your name. We come to give you hey, we come to give you praise. Hey, we come to tell your story. We come to bless. We're thinking about think of your love. Makes me want to dance. And I think of your touch. Makes me want to clap my hands. And I think of your love. Makes me want to dance. When I think of your touch. Makes me want to clap my hands. Oh, yeah, told I you are supply, singing praises supply. Mother, why draw down? Oh, yeah, told I you are supply, singing praises supply. Mother, why draw down? Hey, oh, yeah, you're so worthy. May you receive our praise. We were born just to bless you. That's why we're here today. Oh yeah, you're so worthy. May you receive our praise. We were born just to bless you. That's why we're here today. Hey, we come to give you glory. We come to give you praise. Hey, we come to tell your story. We come to bless your name. What we doing? We come to give you glory. Hear what? We come to give you praise. Hallelujah.
We come to tell your story.
Hey,
We come to
what you doing, y'all?
think of.
Hey, hey, break it down. Hey, hey, and chill. Hey, lay it down. Hey, lay up. Hey, in the house. Hey, in the car. Hey, in the job. Hey, oh yeah, so you are supplied. Sending praises of God. Otherwise, wrong God. Oh yeah, so you are supplied. Singing praises of God. Otherwise, wrong God. Oh, we intimate now, y'all. Oh, y'all, you're so worthy. May you receive our praise. We were born just to bless you. That's why we here today. Oh, y'all, you're so worthy. May you receive. Boy, y'all, where you at? Hey, y'all, where you at? Hey, y'all, where you at? Give you glory. Answer me now. Give you praise. I come to tell your story. I come to bless your name. Okay. Hey, come on. Get it, boy, get it. Hey. When I think of your love. Talk to him, Ma. Hey. You off the top? No.
I'm getting weaker and weaker. I need my strength back.
Strength back.
Been wrong for so long, giving my heart attack.
Back.
It's my identity. What's the knowledge back? And now I know who I am. I'm trying to get it back.
Okay.
I want to be one of the kings you told me were. But you right there with me, my energy, my hip. So please listen, y'all, and hear me out, but not reflect.
Yeah.
And as the movie reunite, I want to lose you with you.
Yep.
Remember when you were burning me, that is prophesied. That we could drop strange lands and they tell us lies. They told us they was on the top and that I got us right. Telling us we were just trying to be gods in our eyes.
Come on.
I know not all of the lies I've been believing. Now I know enough, I'm trying to end all of this. Woo! When I first wake up, I'm done with all this teasing. So when we finally see you,
It'll be you and we see you.
and you're standing on me. We lost so time.
Hey.
Trying to get back where we was, but we lost our mind. Hey, me feel. Woo! Like a song.
You got Azariah? What you got, Azariah? Bring that cup full, Azariah, Nehemiah. I need you on this mic. I need you right now. The Father gon' give us in the end the crown. I say, I'll just be shunning off them demons. Got your hour shot by my side and that word nothing between it. I'm freestyling off the top. You know I gotta take the role of my tie. We gon' serve y'all. Hey, hold on. Put it in the bag. All them queens over. Get the same as the school that work for the penny though. I don't know. Everybody better just get low when he comes and the rocks fall like Timbo. Oops, I mean timber. Oops, I mean winter. Better, I don't know. Going with the strength. How long is the beat? I don't know. How long is the beat? Gotta keep going. Earth and her with me. Hallelujah, I key. Enjoy your prayer. Yeah. Monica probably hit the studio about 5 times. Like, still going? Yeah, we need you to do the last tape. We ain't got. Oh, hold on, JoJo. You gonna do your sister part? You know how to make sure? Know it? Let's keep going. Hey, be uplifting our sister, Navasha V, who just had the newborn baby, Yana. Hallelujah. All right, y'all serve. Congratulations. We know y'all watching. Hey, so we might just have to do a remix. Hey, I don't know. Ready up? I guess so. Anybody? Hey, no weapon that's formed against me shall prosper. No weapon that's formed against me shall prosper. I hear the see the snares that they won't prosper.
Never tried to take me out.
From years ago,
Didn't have cancer. I'm still strong. Through the sicknesses on the beat skipping. Dang, them demons listening. Give them the picture. If they want the precepts, we give them the scriptures. Let that man listen. Let him talk broad. The wicked flee when not pursued. Dudes use an eye, and I'm against the odds and against the lies. When they come to Yahuwah, no demons collide. We combine like two sticks in the book of Ezekiel. What's wrong with this beat? Acting remedial. I'ma just get retarded. Stand on their feet on them. Hey, no weapon against me shall prosper. I roll and I sing to my father like an opera. Then he surgeon like a doctor. Oh weapon that's formed against me shall prosper. No weapon, no weapon. Hey, anybody wanna come on up, man? I know y'all got something in the queue. Oh, y'all shy today. Let's go. Running around never got me nowhere. 'Cause I cannot hide from you. Running never got me nowhere. 'Cause I know you are my refuge, city of refuge. You are my city of refuge. Yeah. Let's go out. We're all trying to get to that city of refuge. But that's the New Jerusalem now.
so I'm running towards your great city of refuge. Trying to say to fam, my mom, sisters, and my nephews. May his grace abound and Yah bless you. Life was meant to test you, tribulate and vex you. Not to break you down, rather yet to get the best you. So put forth your best too. Pilgrims in the earth, yes, we extraterrestrial. And I keep your law on my mental. Your yoke and your love, Yah is light and is gentle. So I'ma show your light to the Gentiles and mighty Egyptians. And not to mention them lost sheep of Israel, immersed in your ruach and wisdom. And out of those yokes and those curses of being a Christian. Skin like the barrel, vestiges glistening. Repent and take heed to my peeps, please listen. Read between the lines and don't fall for the misprints. And do it go the distance, like athletes and track meets for instance.
Yeah. I ain't rap BNT. Israel now. Castle gang. We gonna praise your house. Let's go. The word of Yah is a strong tower. Run to it. My father is so exclusive. His word is not elusive. And this that truth music, aka kingdom music. The wicked flee when none pursue. I never get too comfortable. I know what it takes to get to my father's gates. I have to flee to the mountains for the Son of Man's sake. Please count me part of your elect. Keep me in your way. And when that light turns dim, you sent your son to demonstrate. Your word gon' penetrate, cause you're blowing that ruach. When 2 or 3 are gathered, we sing praises to you. And you be in the midst of that. Feet running mischief, I ain't into that. Wanna run where every flowing river at. Keep running on like bad sentences. City of refuge, the judges couldn't sentence him. Appoint me a place to go, rather I should flee. Bloodshed, and maybe your hands when y'all deliver him. City of refuge. I know Tyser right now. I know he watching. Rapping his part at the hospital, man. Press again, my eye. Who can I run to?
Seeking an
escape.
I was
so
deaf,
such a brat, out of place.
heart jagged
Like a rock, harder than your face. Other word, narrow path, never swerve. hypothetic, all actions like a verb.
I can see the promise.
All I have to do is bend and curve. Trolling for the soul, Torah cheat code. Kicking it with bruises, how I get my reload. Sold the seed in Detroit, then my people. Y'all's house in Louisville, I love them equal. True bruise, resting y'all in the sheepfold. We are one intact, spiritually intact. Marching towards Zion, we are never looking back. Swing towards, we say them from that. Thank you, Abba, Yah, cause you never fail. Resting in your hands. He changed up that last part. He said resting in your hand, not the belly of the rich. Yeah, man, we gonna skip that one though, y'all. But like I said, man, we gonna give big congrats to my Octai Sir, our Octai Sir, and our sister, Basha B, and the newborn baby. 6 pounds, 13 ounces, something like that. 12, 19 inches long. That's a beautiful gift from the Most High. Hallelujah. Rayana, you got something, sis? What you got? I know you got something, sis. Hallelujah. Let's keep this praise and worship service going for the Most High. Hallelujah.
Good? So that's what we're going
We're gonna need some of the if you have a child in Tassel Gang that's on the Holy City, you might have to come on up and do it for your child.
Georgia.
Joseph.
Georgia.
Who else we missing? Yeah, we missing so many. Parents don't miss it. Yeah. That's actually what I was thinking.
Why can't you do your part? You know Kelly Porter home.
Your heart into his words and do the right. They focus on his laws and the evil spirits of sleep. Shake them all up, cause the haters on me. In Psalms 34 and 13, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. So I'm not coming to you speaking lies out of my teeth, cause that's not the type of spirit he wants me to keep. He's my goodness in the sunshine. He's perfection when it's dark at night. He's my light on my darkest days. He's always there when I give him praise. Yeah. When I give him praise, keeping his laws is what we made to do. The commandments, the dietary, and the statutes too. Resting on the 7th day, Genesis 2 and 2. And don't just follow the one, follow them all through. People always complaining, saying they're ready to break. All the laws he gave us, he told us not to forsake. We need to learn to appreciate, not abbreviate, nor hesitate. Because his laws we should not break, but partake. He's my goodness in the sunshine. He's perfection when it's dark at night. He's my light on my darkest days. He's always there when I give him praise. We adore you with fascination. Reading his words with admiration. On the walls, no hesitation. That's we adore you with fascination.
Come on. Good.
Got it.
He's my goodness in the sunshine. He's perfection when it's dark at night. He's my light on my darkest days. He's always there when I give him praise. Give him praise.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. So, you know, even with a few missing links, you know, of who's normally up here, you know, conducting themselves in the praise of the Most High, we still find a way to do it week in and week out. So get that praise and worship section of hallelujah. We're going to just go ahead and close it out to the next session. We thank all the listeners for tuning in to Israel Now. Tune in this up and coming Tuesday, Israel Now radio show at 8 p.m. Facebook Live. Tune in to the next Shabbat teaching. Just tune in to everything that Israel Now is doing. Tassel Gang, I rep as well. And if y'all got any questions, concerns, you can email me at Aharon or Aaron the Priest, 777@gmail.com. Concerning our up and coming events, we got the Midwest Brew Out next week here in Cincinnati, Ohio. So if you want to get to this place of fellowship and have a good weekend in its entirety, I suggest y'all go to eventbrite.com, type in Midwest Brew Out, register. It's $25 for adults, free for all youth. I think it's 18 and under or 17 and under. It's free. Then we also got the Hebrew Town Gathering in Nashville, Tennessee, June 27th through the 30th. Go ahead and hit up yashouse7@gmail.com for more information on that. And we also got the Hebrew Award Show, but we'll give y'all later dates on that. So continue to tune in. With that, we